This episode of the Closeout Bodyboarding podcast is proudly presented to you by limited edition fins. Shane, I've always wanted to know, what's the big difference between the original limited edition fins and the new Psylocke fins?
Benny, the Psylocke fins are bigger and wider than the original LE foot pockets. So basically when you try them on, they'll actually be a size up. Psylocke's fit really well in half sizes to the original fins. So I used to not be able to fit into the larges in the original LE fins, but I fit perfectly into the Psylocke large. So I just recommend everyone, if you weren't comfortable in the original LEs, go in and try on a new Psylocke's.
Awesome. Thanks, Shane. Back to you in the studio. Welcome back to the Closeout Bodyboarding podcast, where a few good mates sit around and talk shit about bodyboarding. I'm one of your hosts, Benny Oborn. Joining me today up on the beautiful Gold Coast, my travel companion, Shane Britton. How are you, buddy?
It's hot.
It's damn hot.
It's real hot.
It's damn hot.
It's crutch pot cooking hot.
It's moist. It's moist.
It's not built. We're not built for this.
No. Our Victorian skeletons and frames they can't adapt. But we're here for a reason. We've obviously made a special trip to sit down with a couple of guys over the next few days. Something that's probably long overdue. But the first special guest we've got today, the current owner of Inverted Bodyboarding stores. Sat down with Danny Bycroft last night, which is pretty cool. Also distributor of Pride Bodyboards. Also a really good DIY plastic surgeon. Welcome to the podcast, Benny Wells.
Thanks, Benny. Great to be here.
Wellsy.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Yeah.
You didn't introduce our other special guest.
No, he'll come in later. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, also joining us with some special comments for this ep, Lachlan Cramsie. How are you, buddy?
Oh, mate, I am great. I'm pretty warm as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for introducing me. I thought you forgot.
He actually forgot you on the way in. Should have introduced you first and then Wellsy, but the professionalism has just come.
I'm here.
He's
I'm in the background. I'm here.
We'll excuse that he had a late night.
Do better. Do better.
There you go.
Boys, it's good to have you here. It's been a long time between drinks. Obviously, yeah, Shane and I now live in the bottom depths of the country, and you guys are super busy basically most of the time up on the sunny coast. What's been happening?
Oh, everything. Always everything.
We should actually say we're wasting Welsy's time today. It's Black Friday.
Yeah.
It is Black Friday.
Yeah.
It's his busiest sales day of the
my
year.
phone's going to be dinging. Staff problems. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, it's all been going really well. The year's been good. Coming to the tail end of it now, and things are really starting to ramp up. So, yeah, looking forward to getting this season done.
You've had a bit of fun the last couple of days?
Yeah. Still very, very tender. Been an interesting recovery period.
Tell us a bit about that.
Tuesday went in for a hernia repair operation. So, was told one set of information and I'm feeling a different set of information. Just a bit ginger, clearly a bit ginger.
Yeah, we saw that.
The cat's out of the bag, you know?
Clearly
We
a bit
don't have
ginger.
to make the jokes on this episode, Benny. It's great.
Bring it on myself. You know. Tender is an understatement, but it's getting through.
Yep.
Mate, I've never known someone that's just so in the wars as you.
Yeah, you could definitely write a book about all of the injuries and the stuff that I've been through. But,
It's like a medical journal. Like, that's what they give to the interns, and they're like, all right, here's a case study.
You're supposed to dedicate your body to science after you die.
100%. Well, yeah, filling out the pre-admission form was a lengthy process.
Most people generally just tick no, your yes, and then comment.
Well, it's associated with someone that's about 80 or 90 years of age. So, not a sprightly 38-year-old like I am.
Oh, jeez. But, mate, you're looking sharp.
Yeah, no, cheers, mate.
Drop kilos.
Yeah.
Yeah, just...
I found them, so it's all good.
Nothing goes to waste.
No.
Just put a lot of time and effort into trimming down and feeling good, actually. Yeah, really, really happy with...
What's that based on? Like, what have you been training for?
Not training for anything in particular, just
the Australian Open.
Just the Australian Open. Yeah, I'm gonna call out Nadal sooner or later. And
probably beat him
we'll
now.
have a rematch. Mike Tyson might be in there as well,
$4 million payday.
Jesus Christ, how pathetic was that?
That's what my son said to me the other day. He goes, "Oh, Dad," after the bout, he goes, "Oh, I just need to be an influencer," and went out of box.
Yeah, that's
Crazy.
it.
$40 million.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. No, but basically once we travelled for a bit, my kids came home and as much as I've wanted them to push into bodyboarding, they have not.
They're rejecting it.
Love the beach, love body surfing, love all that, but
Put them in nippers, mate.
yeah, we'll get there eventually, I think. We've always been on the beach and a very beach-orientated family, but they've sort of more gravitated towards netball and tennis.
Yeah.
And anyway, they wanted to do tennis lessons, and I was sitting on there on the side of the court one day and go, I used to do this. I used to love it when I was a kid. And one of my really good mates from school, Charles, he's got into it as well. And
Is that Beaky?
yeah. The competitiveness and the rivalry is stronger than ever.
It's real.
Yeah, and I started playing and was really getting into it, but was really struggling with being 100 kegs trying to run around the court. It's not easy on the body and the knees and the ankles and everything. So, I don't know, got sick of it one day and really tried to go into shred mode, and it's worked.
I've known you a long time, mate. I've never seen you look this good. So well done, buddy.
Mate.
Well
I
done.
appreciate it.
Where did the love of tennis happen? Because I know you usually travel to Melbourne every year for the Australian Open.
I guess just as a kid growing up, my two sports that I picked was bodyboarding and tennis, always.
Yeah.
I was really lucky when I grew up. My parents used to manage resorts, so we were always coastal, number one. So I always had access to the beach and
Generally a tennis court.
So before phones and video games and all of that, I used to hit a ball against a wall and...
Did you kind of just take on all the senior citizens that were staying at the resort at the time?
100%.
Yeah.
Crushed them too.
Yeah.
Absolutely crushed them.
Yeah.
Go out for their 30-cent cone afterwards and
Absolutely.
crush that as well. Yeah, no, I loved it. It was such a good sport. It was...
So you've played it your whole life, or you've only just taken it back up now?
Yes, I've only just taken it back up now with the kids getting back into it. So probably stopped playing when I was about 16, when bodyboarding really took over, when I really started getting into bodyboarding. And then, when the kids just picked it up about 18 months ago, 24 months ago, picked it up for racket again. And honestly, I've found it very addictive. I really can't stop playing. It's... Carmen's hating it at the moment. I'm home at 10 o'clock at least 3 or 4 nights a week.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's such a good thing. Like, bodyboarding on the Sunshine Coast, it's hard.
It's hit and miss.
Yeah.
You go down the beach and it's 1 foot onshore slop and you're like, I'm going to go get a coffee and go to work early. Whereas tennis, with the kids' hectic lifestyle as well, I can play it at 7 o'clock at night. Can be windy, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Turn the lights on and away you go for 2.5, 3 hours. So it's just something that I've been able to do and sport again. Yeah, it's been really good. It's a huge, I've always been such a sport orientated person and trying to push that onto my kids as well. And
Have you joined in the tennis saga up there, Locke?
Let me think. A couple of years back, we were mucking around on those courts before you would have got proper back into it. But we were always mucking around and hitting the balls. I remember dressing up one day, full headband and wristband.
Yeah.
I mean, I was still pretty crap at it, that's for sure. It didn't help, but I remember seeing Ben's competitiveness coming out a couple of times. So he didn't like losing to anyone.
It's pretty brutal.
Most of the time he won anyway, but there was always a couple of complaints if someone else won.
Have you got a grunt? A signature grunt?
No. Not on the tennis court.
Boom.
Squash thinks he can play. He tries to come up and battle me every now and then.
He talks himself up all the time.
He talks himself up about everything though, doesn't he?
Mate, well, let's rewind it just a little bit. Mate, again, you're 38 years old, obviously living on the sunny coast, also spending a lot of time down here on the Goldie.
Yep.
But mate, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned it yet, that we've got another great Victorian amongst us.
Yes.
Yeah, hailing originally from the great state of Victoria.
How long were you in Vico?
So I was born in Bairnsdale.
Yep.
So I had both of sides of my family, either in Bairnsdale and Lakes Entrance.
Yep.
So grew up there sort of, I think it was about the age of 9 or 10, we decided to move to the Sunshine Coast. And obviously been on the Sunshine Coast ever since. So, but always obviously had, well, actually all of my family, extended family, is from that sort of East Gippsland region. Always had family holidays back there and visiting grandma and grandpa and all that kind of stuff. So,
Was that with your old managing properties?
Yeah, so they used to manage the Bellevue in Lakes Entrance, one of the resorts across the front there. And I think that was their first taste into the sort of resort managerial lifestyle.
Yep.
And then they got offered a job out of all places, the Dillabar, up on the Sunshine Coast. Yeah.
Where's that? Where is it?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's as good as it sounds.
Really?
It's just a shit little town on the Sunshine Coast. But it was
inland a bit further?
A little bit inland, sort of just west of Maroochydore.
Okay.
It is still super close, I guess, now when you think about it. I probably thought about it back then and I'm like, oh my God, we're so far away from the beach, but it really, realistically is not. And then, we moved from there to Coolum, and a lot of my life was sort of based in that Coolum, Perugian area. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're a happily married man, got 2 beautiful kids. Obviously, Carmen, amazing lady. How did you guys meet?
Under 11 nippers.
Wow.
Believe it or not. Wow. Under 11 nippers at the Noosa Surf Life Saving Club.
Oh, my God.
Yep, that was the first introduction. Probably didn't even take any notice of her back then.
Carmen.
She is amazing. She's my rock. Have known her for a very, very long time. We went to school together all through our high schooling. We were never officially a thing. There was a few little on and off moments during high school, as you do. You got to play the field, you know. see what else is out there. And then we actually got together straight after school. As soon as schoolies hit, we were a thing.
Wow. Where did you do schoolies?
We did South Stratty.
Nice.
Yeah, we did do a couple of nights back on the Gold Coast, but by memory they were bloody horrible.
Yep.
And I couldn't wait to get back to South Stratty.
Yep.
It was a good crew. We had a really good crew over there, and it was very chilled. You know, a lot of vodka watermelons and all the rest of it. But
better than those ethanol mixes in Thailand.
Oh yeah,
mate. This watermelon tasted like ethanol for sure. One watermelon and about 4 bottles of vodka or something. I think I remember it was horrible.
So no longer your drink of choice.
No, definitely not. But Carmen's amazing. She's always been there through thick and thin. And I think we were talking the other day, what did we graduate in 2003? So 21 years just recently we've officially been together. And
what's she doing now? She's working at the uni or something?
She is TAFE Queensland's website manager.
Right.
Yeah, so she actually has a real job. She's been with TAFE Queensland for a very long time.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's been with them well over 10 years. So, yeah.
So does she do a lot of the web work for your business as well?
You would think so. You would think so. Ooh. Yeah, shots fired there. Yeah. But,
I was just about to say she's your calm to your storm, but, maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
Yeah, nah. Look, she earns real money.
Yeah.
Bodyboarding, it's always fun and games. But,
it's a hobby.
Yeah.
I think we can all openly admit it's a hobby.
It's an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
She does as much as she possibly can, but obviously having a high-paying corporate job, her time is definitely held up elsewhere.
Yep, of course.
It's kind of like a plumber, yeah? Like they probably have the worst plumbing in their own house because they're doing it all day, every day, and the last thing they want to do is when they come home is...
Ben well.
Fix it. Yeah. She does what she can and helps out, obviously, definitely when she is able to.
You've also got kids, and kids take up time.
Yeah, and our kids are 9 and 11 now, so you would think that they would become easier as they get older, but they just take up more of your time. They want to do more things. Yeah.
Get me to the party, get me to sport.
Get me to here, get me to there.
Dad taxi.
Taxi. So, that's awesome.
So you talked about bodyboarding earlier, but you really sort of went hard at it at age 16.
Yeah.
But when did you sort of how did you get introduced to it? And
was that through Nippers or?
Yeah, I guess so. Like I always remember.
How good is Nippers? Nippers is great.
Nippers is amazing. Yeah. I definitely will be getting our kids into it sort of sooner than later. Now that we're back home and settled and everything. Yeah, I guess we always did nippers. We were always at the beach. All of the resorts that mum and dad sort of used to manage were always like literally across the road from the beach. So I'd wake up, pull my curtain open and stare at the waves all day, every day. So I was always going to gravitate towards being an ocean sort of person. And did nippers all growing up. And some of my best mates, they were like, oh, like, let's start surfing, like that was obviously you got your bigger nipper board as you got a little bit older. And then, we all started surfing, and then sort of high school probably hit. And some of my best mates, they all sort of stopped surfing, like, cause we always just, ride shortboards. And, I went to a grammar school, which was very footy orientated, and there was quite a lot of, I guess, surfers there as well. And we just wanted to do something different. So I had 2 or 3 really good mates that were like, well, let's go against the grain here. Like, let's do something different. Like, we sort of skateboarded in our free time as well. And
so that was pretty much a conscious decision.
Yeah. Like, one of my best mate, Wade, his older brother, like they all booged in Coolum. And I just sort of saw it, and it was something that was so different, and everybody rode a stand-up surfboard in Coolum and at our school and everything, and we were just like, nope, let's run in the opposite direction.
Against the grain.
Yeah. Yep. So, we took up the boog, and I don't know, I just loved it ever since. I used to, drop knee a fair bit, obviously stand-up surfing a lot at the time, but then that just became less and less as I sort of got more into the technical side of riding a bodyboard. So, just gravitated towards going against the grain. And absolutely loved it. Ran with it full speed ahead.
Was there sort of pro guys at your age group around that time? Like, were you finding that it was like, it's such a big area?
But we had like Coolum, obviously we had a lot of pros growing up in Maroochydore. You had Adam Keegan, like Curtis Parter, Jake Stone, like they were all sort of Maroochydore guys, but we had Michael Novi and Martin Novi, his brother. There was so much talent. You had John O'Bruce just a little bit further north at Sunshine, Tom Robb. There's just the list was endless. And I think that's where my dreams got crushed when I actually finally took it seriously when I was about 16 years of age and started getting into comps and everything. And 1 year I would have Novi, and then I would be like, sweet, Novi's moving up. And then you'd have Stoney and Tom Robb, and you'd just be like, come on, man. Like,
cut me some slack.
Yeah, like, so, yeah.
And then Cramsie came into the mix too.
Yeah, of course.
What, 5 years old? 5 years old?
He's definitely a little bit junior, but yeah. So, that was where my love of it come from, and loved it ever since.
The Boogan talent coming from the sunny coast back then is just out of control, eh?
Yeah. Well, it was almost like that kind of when you look at surfing, like that momentum generation, right? Like the Sunny Coast crew were renowned for their technical riding and style.
100%.
Yeah. And they obviously honed their craft in small surf, which then gave them such a big blank canvas when it came to the bigger stuff.
When it got bigger, yeah. Right. I reckon it's so much better growing up, getting technical first and then moving on. I reckon there's a lot of benefits in that, eh?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Drawing good lines and getting that fundamentals of bodyboarding down pat. And like, I remember like all those guys, all they did all day was surf morning, lunch and dinner. And then they'd just go back 1 foot onshore slop and they would just assess the cregs. Yep. Like they'd just be watching footage after footage after footage going, how can we get these legs tighter? Like the technique and everything that they had was unbelievable. But yeah, that generation of bodyboarding come out of the Sunshine Coast, like then you get your license and you go to Iluka or, you just go over the border and start surfing bigger waves, go down to South Coast a few trips a year and just put those skills into bigger, better waves. Of course, it's going to make amazing talent.
Yeah.
What role did the Sunny Coast Bodyboard Club sort of have, as part of that?
As a part of my life?
Yeah, growing up.
And bringing all those guys together.
Look.
Was that existing back then?
For sure. Yeah, 100%. Like the Sunny Coast Bodyboard Club has always been such a huge fundamental part of bodyboarding and the community on the Sunshine Coast. Obviously, it has its ups and downs, years and whatnot, but...
As does every club.
At that time, I do remember, you used to have to essentially, like, we had regionals and states and all of that kind of stuff. And I'd just be stoked, honestly, to make it to a semi-final in a local club round. We just had such a big contingent, and the level of surfing was just, I've not seen anything like it in the last sort of 10, 12 years.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. It's sad, but it's also, it's a generational thing, and I do think it will come back eventually. But it's just, a generational thing that we're going through now. You know, kids don't really necessarily want to push themselves in competition stuff.
No.
When they can get a 1 foot flip and put it on Instagram and get instant gratification.
Yep.
It's just a different time, different world we sort of live in. And I was happy to be a part of it. Like, those are some of my fondest memories, you know, going to all those.
Who was running the club back then? I remember Tom Robb's mum was doing 100%. Some stuff.
Yep, she was definitely. Tate McCarthy's mum as well was massive. Oh, her name evades me right now. Orderman. There was a lot of older crew. But all the mums were basically running it.
Mum and dad
Novi's
clubs.
mum ran it. She was a treasurer for ages before Tate McCarthy's mum took it over. So, the mums were fundamental. Where are they these days?
Yeah, well,
Coffee?
I think. Yeah, well.
We saw a lot of mums this morning, Ben.
Yeah, we did. The Burley Pavilion is busy
There's
place.
a lot going on down here.
Seven o'clock
generation.
Wow.
Welcome to the Goldie.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, my heart rate is still pretty high. But yeah, I guess one of the things you see a lot more with some of the club events is, and I saw it at the kind of back end of my tenure on the Goldie, that the club events almost became a bit of a babysitting event. Like, there was a period where parents were there all day and they were part of it, and they were on the canteen. They were helping with tabulating and pack up and whatnot. But then it kind of just changed a little bit, and mum and dad would drop the kids off and kind of say what time's it finished.
How are you finding that now? Because it's good that Ben brings that up. You're a big part of both the Gold Coast Bodyboard Club and the Sunshine Coast Club. How do you find it now with our parents getting involved, or is it more the older guys running it? Or
it's the older crew.
Yeah.
It's the older guys, and it's interesting. Like, when you say that out loud, I wonder if back then the mums and the parents were involved so much because, you know, there was such a young sport. It was such a young generation. So, like, you kind of didn't have the older guys then, and now we've got those older guys there that have sort of taken those positions.
Yeah.
You look at the divisions, and again, back 10 years ago, your Groms and your juniors, there'd be seedings of Cadets, 16 to 24 each club round, but then in like senior men's and masters, you might have 6. Yeah. Whereas now it's completely flipped. Like, I think one of our healthiest divisions with Bodyboarding Vic is masters.
Yeah, seniors and masters is really where it's at. Like, even I went down to national titles at the middle of this year. It was, you know, like, you had the younger kids, which was really good to see, but the strongest divisions were definitely seniors and masters. And just the crew hanging around, everything was seniors and masters, which you can look at it two ways. You can kind of go, oh, cool, like, where's the youth of the sport? But they're going to come. They're always there. Like, you know, through the stores, we see it. We're selling heaps of boards. Yeah. Like, we're selling heaps of younger bodyboards. Yeah. It's just they don't do competition bodyboarding. Yeah. And I don't think that's I
think a big difference, personally, from what I've been through with my kids, is how much your netball, football, cricket, but everything, they're not just doing a club game on a Saturday. They get invited to rep games on top. Yeah. So they end up playing 4 games of footy or cricket or whatever a week. And it's like, it's just because what they've realised, what those sporting codes have realised, is they want to rent out every basketball stadium every day and night of the week.
For sure.
And we just haven't had...
And they're team sports as well. Like, most of those sports that are massively popular, they're team sports. Like, bodyboarding isn't a team sport.
Yeah. So there's a motivational thing from the team.
I think that's a really good topic to kind of unpack. And I think we should do that a little bit later on, because Shane and I really want to kind of pick your brain, because you're at the forefront of bodyboarding in a retail sense and at a community sense. Yeah. Be really good to get your feedback later in the episode about what changes you think we could make, even at grassroots level, that can help assist in that that move from that older generation to the new generation.
You've got a good bank of Grommies up on the sunny coast at the moment.
Yeah, we do.
And you've been developing the stuff on the Goldie as well with future pros.
Yes, correct.
Stuff as well.
And like Silas is amazing.
Yeah.
Like honestly, Tim on the Sunny Coast running the Sunny Coast Bodyboard Club, he's amazing. We could definitely do with a few more.
You've got Matty Taylor breeding his own Grommie.
Mate, they're a tribe within themselves. Like,
Oh no!
like, is there anything those guys can't do as well? Like they're so
You've got
talented.
Roberts, all these Victorians, mate. All these Victorians we have lost, they've all come up here.
100%. It's the weather, mate. It's the weather. Something in the water.
It's the active wear.
Yeah, no, those guys are great. And, Silas is such a strong force down here on the Goldie. If you looked up bodyboarding in the dictionary, Silas's face is there smiling at you. He is bodyboarding on
with
the Gold Coast.
With an acai bowl in
With
hand.
an acai bowl. Yeah. Amazon power.
Yeah.
He does an absolutely brilliant job. And, I was actually talking to one of the guys that came into the store this morning. He's getting back into the Gold Coast Bodyboard Club now. And, he's putting his hands up. So it's really good. But again, it's an older guy. Like, you're not going to get a 14, 15-year-old kid come up and go, I want to be a part of the bodyboard committee. Like, it just doesn't happen. So, we need these older guys. Like, they're good. We need a few passionate guys. And, like a club is I guess a bit of a thankless job, and, you're not going to get paid.
What are you talking about? It's very rewarding.
Getting ridiculed for running a comp in 1 foot onshore.
Jesus Christ. Oh, far out.
Yeah, no, but it's just one of those things. But yeah, like our clubs are strong. They'll continue to be there, and the Llewellyns up on the Sunshine Coast as well. Like, they have been there since before I was around. And Lloydo,
MC Lloydo,
mate, he is there, rain, hail, or shine. He always has his hat in the ring. He's either president or the number one helper for the club.
Is he president of the club now?
He's not. We've got Tim Oliver. He's running it at the moment, and just a bit of a fresh face and new ideas, and he's been really good. He's a bit of a younger guy. He's done a really good job with the club this year.
What are you doing at the club, Lockie?
Mate, I'm working.
Working?
Every Saturday, pretty much working, mate. I'm lifeguarding.
# do better.
Yeah, I know, right? No, I've actually driven past him on the beach a handful of times, and I'll go and chat to Lloydo and a handful of the boys. But I was actually going to bring this up. Yeah, you go past them, and there's a heap of old fellas there, and they're frothing out. But the younger age groups, it's straight final almost when you go to.
But and look, I guess we can all just collectively hope that is part of a transition. And that, it's just going to come back, On
top of that, you're seeing success from it because Jai's done well.
Yeah.
Gone to the World Tour and chased that this year with the juniors. Yep. So, yeah, even though it might be a small pool, it's talented,
For sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we might get into it a bit later, but making sure we have a pathway for these guys is obviously important. But I think it is a generational circle. We saw it during COVID, wowee, how many, every supporting, activity shop must have just been absolutely cheering through COVID. You had all these people that all you could do was work from home and do an external sport. And bodyboarding saw this huge influx again of guys that are anywhere between, 35 to 50 that used to do it when they were groms. People seem to forget that bodyboarding is such a young sport still. Yeah. And we haven't had generations go through. So when something like COVID happened, you had all these older guys going, I used to bodyboard. Kind of like me with tennis.
Yeah, you know what happens is all that kids' sport stopped. They went, we can all go to the beach because that's pretty much one of the only things we can do. Took the family to the beach.
Yep.
Fantastic. COVID, everything opens up again.
Yep.
Kids go back to sport.
Yep.
And it's all sort of gone away again. But
they could do that here in Queensland, mate. Wasn't that easy for us back in Vico?
Vico had a little bit.
Yeah.
But we had that older gen come through, buy boards, and they were buying boards for their kids that were, they were 10 to 13-ish now.
Yep.
So that's the next gen of coming through. So you had the dads now going, I used to bodyboard when I was younger. I've gotten back into it and buying their kids boards. So I think that we will see that eventually swing back around and hopefully have strong numbers again like what we used to have. Is the aim.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the end of the world. A lot of people, we hear it all day through the store, bodyboarding's done. There's no magazines, there's no videos, there's no nothing. And I'm sort of like, it's not true. Just because
we're all selling as many bodyboards as we ever have.
It's
just not publicised.
Exactly right.
the sport hasn't got an organisation to get us organised.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's just different now. That's all it is. The channels are different.
Even more fractured now with the recent news of the Bodyboarding Nationals event for 2025 being
There's a little bit going on. Yeah.
pushed into a wave pool.
I haven't read all that yet, but I know a little bit about it. But yeah. And the decision-making process for that, yeah.
Wowie.
I think they think they're killing it by giving us that.
I think, I'm not sure what they're thinking, mate.
Yeah.
But they got a lot of questions to answer, that's for sure.
Apparently they can run the event and nationals in one day rather than the 3 weeks that they'd take to do it.
Yeah.
So they'd be running double heats on lefts and rights, I guess.
I don't know.
Just
Basically,
non-stop.
yeah, with AI judging. So using flow state.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
They can cop the complaints, I guess. They are judges,
So
right?
you'll still have your judging panel.
Yeah.
It's sitting in a fully catered, air-conditioned meeting room, basically watching everything on giant 4K screens.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Probably getting foot massages at the same time.
Lovely.
Yeah. And yeah.
Just like back in the day, hey?
Yeah. Glory days. Yeah. Glory days.
I remember you guys doing that when you were judging, right?
Yeah.
ABA
Cram's
tour
gone away for
I remember we did have we had some sports physios at one of the debuff, right?
Yeah.
It was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
I wanted to ask you a bit about filming because I remember back when we first met, you were doing heaps of filming.
Yeah.
And obviously the Sunny Coast was prolific with filmers
Yep.
to a point now that I can't find anyone to film Cramsie at all.
Who films? No one.
No one, no.
Tell us a bit about your background with when you're doing all the filming and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I guess that sort of came about like early sort of, when, inverter was starting to become a thing and, like obviously back then I think we were filming the Heinous series that we used to put on like the Apple podcasts and stuff back in the day. And my mate Charles Beek, he used to film, got right into it. He actually used to take photos to start with, and then the photography game on the Sunshine Coast just blew out, and it was more photographers in the water than surfers. It was wild.
Yeah.
So, Charles, again, kind of go against the grain with something, and was like, oh, well, if everyone's going to take photos, I'll film, which was fantastic because it gave us so much content.
Yeah.
And I think those Heinous series were so popular back in the day because you had a lot of clips coming out. You had a lot of Vimeo, clips coming out, high quality bodyboarding, but it was always in like 8 to 10 foot pipe or, 6 foot nuggin or something that was just perfect. Whereas we were just ragtag, scrappy, surfing 2 foot south wall or just getting in a car and traveling. And it was always just a bunch of misfits, essentially, just chasing 2 foot waves. And it was fun. We always put like pretty fun music to it, and it was just something people could relate to.
Before you had to pay for music rights?
Before you had to pay for music rights. It's a bit different these days, hey? Yep. We could put anything we wanted to back then. I'm pretty sure they've all been removed.
Yeah.
I can't find anything these days. I was talking to PJ Hadley the other day. He has them all on a hard drive somewhere, and I'm hoping to get him off him, but if we ever put them up, we're going to have to
put the old music across.
Completely re-edit them.
Completely re-edit the music, so which won't have the same sort of vibe. But,
no way.
Yeah, I remember, sort of how I sort of became about filming. Charles sort of got a real job. The bodyboarding filming.
Do better, Charles.
Yeah, do better.
Yeah, wasn't paying the rent. So I was like, all right, cool. Well, I'm in the water and I'm surfing all the time. And I kind of wanted the content to keep flowing. So I just kind of took over his camera and, really started getting into it myself.
What was your first setup? Was it a 7D?
Yeah, 7D.
Yeah,
yep.
I remember that.
Yep. And then I went to a Panasonic GH4 after that.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Besides Charles, were you influenced by anyone up there that, used to love their filming or anything up there?
Nah, not really. Honestly, and I loved filming water. I loved putting the camera in a housing. I had to be in the water. I had to be an idiot screaming, hooting people in waves. And
being amongst it.
Yeah, being amongst it.
Rather than hiding in the dunes.
Filming from land was so boring. I could not handle it. Like, even with music or whatever, I just couldn't do it. And even beyond that, editing, organizing clips, I was the worst. I literally downloaded everything onto a hard drive or whatever it was, and it was just like, here you go. I'm not going through
My
hours.
job's done.
Yeah, I'm not going through hours of footage. I'd always just palm it off to PJ Hadley or Jaden Dickey or someone and just be like, here you go, man. Good luck trying to find the best stuff out of it.
That's basically our working relationship with Jennings. Always has been, always will be.
Yeah.
We just,
Here it is. Here's what we
mate,
got. Do what you can with it.
I think it worked. I think we recorded it.
Was Cassidy editing in that as well?
Yeah, Andy Cassidy. He was actually work experience for us in the store. So he was really good at editing though. So when he was always in the store and, like in between customers and whatnot, I'd just have a Premiere Pro on the computer and he'd just whip up little Instagram clips and stuff for
pirated
us.
version of Premiere Pro, I assume.
It's bodyboarding.
Yep,
So, yeah,
absolutely.
100%. So that was great. Again, it was just all content driven. I love doing it. I love being in the water. I hated the admin side of it, but for us at the time, creating content was number one priority. And
how do you find it up there now?
It's a struggle, man.
Yeah.
It really is. And, it saddens me that we don't have a regular something that's always coming out. But
It's strange that, the artistic side of it, everyone wanting to learn how to use a camera. Like, you look at all those guys that were using cameras, sort of went on to bigger and better things. It's funny that there's not young Groms trying to learn crafts, at 15, 16, 17. Look, I bought my first camera at 16 as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's because cameras are so good now, though, as well. Like, you can kind of go buy a camera and put it on auto.
Point and shoot.
And away you go. Whereas back then, God, you're worrying about ISO, shutter speed, like having the right combination, the frame rates, all of that kind of stuff. Now, you literally just go auto, film, like you're done. And it's filming an amazing clip. Like the GoPro revolution was crazy with that as well. Like that gave everybody a fisheye. So I just wonder if it got too diluted. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
But anyone could do their own POV and...
Yeah, for sure. I honestly, if any kids are out there listening, bring it on. I'd love to find some filmers again.
So would I. So anyone that's keen, I'll pay to film Cramsie or anyone else.
100%. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be the most amazing stuff. Like we always found our highest viewed clips were always that scrap together, just kids having fun in 2 to 3 foot relatable waves, Didn't have to be pumping surf. It was just something that everyone, the audience at home
half the time it shows how good the surfer is.
For sure.
When it looks shit.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, definitely.
We obviously touched briefly on in the intro, DIY plastic surgeon. Mate, You've had a few run-ins with your body. One particular incident is one that was pretty nasty, mate. Things went a bit pear-shaped at a particular wave up on the sunny coast called Old Woman.
Yeah.
I mean, you look good now.
The old bitch.
Yeah, you look good now, but you weren't looking so good for a while, mate.
No, it was a pretty wild one, eh? That was a crazy situation on all levels.
Second,
how'd that come about?
We'll paint the picture of Old Woman. Old bitch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Old Woman Island's probably, Lockie, probably a half-hour paddle offshore.
Yeah, I've paddled.
It's probably a good half-hour paddle offshore. Probably just K&a-half off my Cooler Beach. And, I guess I grew up surfing it, being obviously from Coolum. It wasn't very far away. And, when you start getting into it and you want to surf better waves with less crowds.
That's what you do.
Yeah, and it is a pretty crazy wave of consequence. Probably effort doesn't equal reward, really, when you really sit back and think about it. Like, it doesn't get that big and that pumping for how much you can get hurt, obviously. But yeah, growing up surfing it, I don't know, this particular day, it threw me. Like, I guess it's always that thing, like, you do so much something for so long.
Were you complacent?
Yes, 100%. Like, I've surfed that wave when it has been 5-6 foot, big, washing through.
You've had it way bigger.
Not really holding it and acting like an absolute idiot as well. Like, just throwing myself over the falls. And that wave, like, you can only surf it on high tide. Like, probably 1.3 meter tide
onwards
or higher, really. It's got a real sweet spot. Anything over a 1.7, forget about it. Just gets too much water on it.
Super specific.
Yeah. And, so anyway, like, it's super shallow, obviously. So, you can only surf it on that tide. And then if you get too much of an east swell, it wraps in too much and kind of has a little bit of a step in the wave. And, this particular day, it was a Good Friday. And, So I had the day off, obviously. Store was closed, and I was like, you beauty. Looked at the charts. The swell was pretty much straight east, so not perfect for over there, but I'm like, Good Friday. Everybody's got the day off. Where are we going to get away from the crowds? And we're like, all right, bugger it. Let's just go over to Old Woman Island. Like, tide's good. The wind's good. It's just that swell direction's a bit average. So anyway, we paddled over there.
So who was with you on this day? Were you there, Crem?
I was there.
Yep.
Well, I was there, but I wasn't. I was about 50 metres away on a different little shelf out there.
Yep.
When it happened. So I wasn't next to him then, but we paddled over together.
Yeah. Yeah, it was you, me, Charles, Kieran Tunbridge, photographer.
Yeah.
And then when we got over there, we were just greeted with everyone from Brisbane.
There was heaps of people, like randoms and like people that we haven't seen over there before, sort of thing, just sitting there.
Yeah. So, yeah, like...
they were already there.
Yeah, they were already there.
They got
just
the
out
bus.
on
They got
boats.
the bus straight out to...
And that wave, like, you realistically surf a lot of times, like, just with you and your mate. Like, it is... You know, because it's
an island.
Of how to get there and stuff. Like, it is...
They caught a 4-point-something metre white off the net that you paddle literally over off the...
Yeah. Paddling it in the dark to get there for first light is... It's not fun.
But by the time
spooky.
I paddled it, I was with my best mate, my mate Tony, from Melbourne. So we paddled it, and two canoeists paddle up and they go, oh, Tony, because they knew each other from work. He goes, oh, Tony, how you going? And he goes, just so you know, you had two fins following you the entire way.
Yeah.
And we were like, we've got to paddle back.
Yeah, well, especially in sort of whale migration season. Yeah. Like, holy moly. It's
like, frenzy.
It's nuts.
They all go straight.
And it's tiger shark breeding ground off the back of it. Like, it's got everything going for it, really, doesn't it?
It just ticks all the boxes.
A bleeding face probably isn't great, to be honest.
Yeah. On a ginger man.
Yeah.
Like
I was very ginger that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so it looked like a half-eaten zinger burger.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, anyway, back to the story.
Yeah, so that day, it was probably, 2 foot, maybe 3 foot on the bigger like, it was nothing. It was honestly clean, perfect, pristine conditions, but just a little bit east. And
bit more hassling, though, because all the blow-ins were there.
Yeah, I think that had...
There was definitely more people out there, and like everyone was. It wasn't a bad vibe in the water. It was just there was a lot of people, and there wasn't that many waves to go around. And I remember that day I was testing out a board cam, like a pole cam off the side of my board.
Nice.
Yeah.
And anyway, I was getting a little bit shitty with the crowd, and I was waiting my turn, and I'm like, you know what? The next set wave that comes through, I'm here first in line. I've been waiting for ages. I'm just going it. Don't care what it is. I'm just going it. So anyway, turned the camera on, turned around to paddle, scooped down. And anyway, the second step sort of happened, wrapped a bit too east, and I went, oh, well, cool. I'll just go over the front of my board because I had the pole cam out the side of, the outer side of your board.
Yep.
And went over the nose of my board, and lo and behold, there's no water underneath me anymore. And it was just straight barnacles.
Cheese grater.
It is so sharp out there, yeah.
Straight barnacles. So my face hit, my head and my face hit, and then my shoulder. And I just kind of stood up instantly and just felt the
pain, the slicing.
I actually had no pain looking back on it. Like, I just felt my head, and
because they're just clean cuts.
I literally
scalpels.
had my skull open. And anyway, it's all on camera.
It's all on camera.
You can just hear me going, I got a fucking hole in my head.
You could see the blood in the water after a couple of seconds. I remember looking at it. Like, the camera's kind of upside down in the water, and then the water turns red pretty much for a while.
Yeah. You can see it on the GoPro. Just literally just red water. And anyway, I was like, well, I'm in a bit of trouble here. And we had paddled over, half an hour paddle. Yeah. And my first thought was like, oh, good Lord, what am I going to do here? Like, I'm not making it back.
You're not paddling back, no.
I'm not making it back. Like, I ripped my nose open. The top of my lip was completely ripped open. Pretty much just couldn't see straight away because I had so much blood in my eyes and everything. And
$20,000 worth of improvements.
He looks. I told him he looks good. He looks good.
Yeah. But like, honestly, it's all on an 8-minute GoPro clip from me turning around, paddling, getting the wave, hitting, swearing a lot.
Was anyone else filming at the time?
No.
So
actually, sorry, that's a lie. Kieran was taking photos. I've got photos of it as well. I've got photos. It was in, just going back, Cloak and Dagger magazine.
Yeah, right.
They did a little article on it, and that online magazine they did for a while. There was photos of it in from that. Anyway. So everyone was coming over and helping me, obviously, and we're like, wow, we've got a half an hour paddle back here. Like a half an hour paddle at a good rate of knots, not dragging someone back. And it just so happened a surf lifesaving ski just comes around the corner of the island. And anyway, everyone flagged them down, and I passed out on the jet ski about 3 or 4 times on the way back, I think. And they had an ambulance waiting for me in at Markula. And straight to hospital, and I was very lucky because it was Good Friday. So they had no, they didn't have a huge surgeon staff on that day. And I remember in recovery afterwards, they're like, wow, like the person that healed you was on call just for as a general surgeon, but they were a plastic surgeon.
Oh, wow.
So like I was so lucky that like everything's kind of been sewed up.
Amen, brother.
And I probably look better than what I did beforehand.
Mate, you can't fix perfection. You just can't.
And I do remember that day, like another wild thing about that one. Carmen was 34 weeks pregnant with Peyton.
Oh.
So trying to spin that one was very hard. I remember getting in on the beach and in between passing out, Kieran and I had actually carpooled. And anyone that knows Kieran's driving is pretty wild. And Carmen and I only had one car at the time, and we went in my car. And I said to Kieran, I was like, so Carmen's 34 weeks pregnant, so just tell her that I've had a boo-boo.
Yeah.
And I've just gone to the doctor to
get cleaned up.
To get cleaned up. And you'll come and pick her up. And I remember she wasn't worried about me at all. She was worried about
driving
a car ride with Kieran on the way to the hospital at 34 weeks pregnant. So
how do I describe this, Carmen? Have you seen Silence of the Lambs?
Jesus, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, again, through thick and thin she has been. So
wow.
She did well to get through that one.
So what was the recovery period? Obviously quite a while out of the water.
Yeah. I actually, God, it was going back, 11 years ago now. I think it was a good 2-3 weeks, recovery. I looked like Skrillex.
Yeah.
Had half of my head shaved and, I think it was 55 stitches.
Yeah. You unfortunately missed out on the next season of Australia's Next Top Model.
I did.
Which was disappointing. Yeah. Because your career could have gone in a different path at that stage.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, well, one door closes, another one opens, right?
That's right. So, it was an interesting time, but I'm glad to put that behind me.
Hey, mate, we need to actually talk about the business.
Yeah.
So how did you first get into being involved with Inverted? Obviously, it was owned by somebody else at the time on the sunny coast. I can't remember who.
Dan, was it?
Dan Camilleri.
Yeah. Yep.
Crazy one. How long you got?
Oh, mate. Go. We're here all day,
How long
mate.
you on the podcast to go for? Yeah, wow. What a long story. I guess.
What were you doing before this came into your life?
Right,
Professional tennis.
God, I wish.
Sure.
Aspiring tennis star. I identify as. Look, I finished school, didn't know what to do after school, so migrated to surfing and just going, what am I going to do now? Centrelink pays all right, so I'll go to university and get youth allowances.
Yep.
So I thought I was all right at business. So I thought I'd do a business degree and specialising in accounting. And did a couple of years of that, sort of just travelled a bit, just continued the boogin thing. And anyway, my parents actually got me an internship for an accounting firm in Mooloolaba, and it didn't go well.
Didn't feel right?
Well, rocking up at a professional accounting firm, wearing a suit and tie with sand in between my toes and zinc on my collar and all the rest of it. Look.
Wasn't received well. Is that what you're telling us?
That wasn't received well. Plus, honestly, I didn't try very hard. Sitting in a cubicle, crunching numbers for 8-9 hours a day, it's not me. It's not me, mate.
It sounds like the worst place to do it as well. Like, how would it be on the Sunshine Coast?
Yeah.
Being an accountant in a
and
cubicle.
You're locked in a prison.
Horrible.
Yeah, it wasn't great. But look, it was a great life lesson. I'm glad I did it because I figured out that I didn't want to do that. I was kind of a little bit in no man's land after that. I still was at university. I thought, well, I've already done pretty much most of my degree, so I'll continue it. So I just got a job, I think selling phones at Telstra at the Plaza at the time. And anyway, I really wasn't happy with doing that. I wasn't happy with the degree I was doing. I kind of switched to do a dual major in accounting and human resource management because I sort of thought, I could probably manage people. Definitely not. Definitely not manage people.
It's great. He answers his own questions. We don't have to kind of.
Look, I'm really glad that didn't pan out either. I had a massive HECS debt and no degree to pay for it. No degree to show for it. So to put that in perspective. And anyway, I was obviously the bodyboarding scene on the Sunshine Coast, and I think I was a major Eppo supporter, at the time. I used to buy all my boards off Eppo and used to hang out inverted. I just kind of liked the vibe, I guess. There's a bit younger of a vibe and whatnot there. So I used to just hang out at both the stores with a bunch of mates and stuff. And yeah, Dan Camilleri was just sort of flyby comment like, oh, I can't really do this. Like, I'm working as an electrician. I've got some bodyboarders in here kind of trying to run the shop and I think I'm going to put it up for sale. And I went home that day and I just said to Carmen, I was like, I want this. I want to make it work.
What was Carmen doing at this stage?
Carmen was working in resorts at that particular time. Right. So she was working in marketing for a hotel chain.
Okay.
Yeah.
So still the corporate dollars.
Yeah. So she. God, not really. Like it was a smallish kind of hotel chain. She had finished her degree in marketing at university, so she'd gone straight into a marketing job. Yeah, with this particular hotel chain. And she was great. Like, God, her business know-how, and we spent 2 weeks writing this business plan, and because we had no money, obviously, being 20 years of age.
Yeah, of course.
And I was like, I just really want to make this work, and wrote the most amazing business plan. All credit to her. Nothing with me on that. And we managed to, between my father and mother-in-law, they fronted half of the money. And we managed to let a bank actually give us the other half, on the condition that we did find the other half of the funding to buy the business.
Were there vendor terms attached in that sale?
No, there wasn't. No. So we brought it outright from Dan Camilleri. But at that time...
That was a franchise?
Yes. So at that time, it was just inverted Sunshine Coast.
Yes.
And like, seriously, it was so small time.
Yeah.
Like now I look back on it, I'm like...
Because Dan hadn't owned it for very long.
No, he hadn't.
Yeah, and he'd had a background in lighting or something?
Lighting. So he was an electrician by trade, and his parents owned this. He did well for himself, or the family did very well for themselves, and I think he sort of brought it as sort of a bit of a hobby sort of thing, and he hired a few bodyboarders that were just literally turning the lights on from 9 till 5, and that was about it. So
I'm sure you've had some of them in your own shops, mate, over the years.
He once rang me. He said, "Oh, I've just opened up this box." And there's a cut straight through the board cover. And I said, "Oh, can you take a photo?" And he's taken the photo. What he's done is he's got the Sterling on.
Straight through it.
Straight through the board cover.
Straight through it.
He wasn't quite built for it.
Yeah. Look, mate, 16 years. Yeah, I've learned a few things along the way. It was really good sort of learning curve. Like we grew the business over the next 3 or 4 years, just on the Sunshine Coast, owning that sort of one franchise.
So what was your relationship with Danny Bycroft and that at that point? Because he was the owner.
Yeah. Yep. So Danny was the owner of the Gold Coast store and obviously the brand as a whole.
Yep. And the website? You didn't have your own website at that time?
No. What was that, 2008, 2009? Websites were...
Just starting.
They were really just getting off the ground. Like I think had Eppo's Bodyboard Shop, which was a big one, and maybe Bodyboard King. I don't even think BSC were really a online presence at that point in time.
I think BSC went on before Bodyboard King.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. But so it was just such a small thing, and Danny owned bodyboardmart.com at the time.
Right.
But honestly, like, you'd be lucky to see a cake of wax come through in a week. There was no time or attention that went to it. Nor did anybody think it was...
No one trusted buying online.
For sure. Yeah. And it wasn't a thing that anybody put any time or money towards at that particular point in time. So it was all just relying on business coming through the doors, which is what we did really well. And obviously being in my early 20s, I threw myself into the club scene. I ran the club for so many years myself. I put myself in the community and I just really grew it. And, I don't know if many people know this, but... Inverted back in the day when we sort of had Inverted and Eppo's sort of as the, I guess, two rival shops.
Yep.
Like I get along with Eppo like a house on fire these days. Like we're really good mates. Like couldn't speak highly enough of the bloke. But back then, if you were to ask me what I thought of Eppo, just because of who he was and the name that he had and the pull that he had in this industry, and he had every right to, but it meant that we couldn't stock NMD.
Anything from World.
Anything from World. Yep. We couldn't stock Science bodyboards. Like, they were huge players, and we couldn't stock them. So I had to rely on 1/3 of the brands to make my income.
Yeah.
So
You couldn't even get Churchill fins.
could get Churchill fins. I remember we hooked up at one stage. We were buying Churchill fins because back then...
Was this from Amart?
No, it wasn't Amart. I think it was a bodyboard store in America.
Right.
We were actually buying fins from America because our dollar wasn't that bad, just to get Churchill fins in and sell them in the store. We were just going around.
That's when the dollar was like...
Yeah, we were
it was
dollar
like
for
$1.15 or
dollar
something.
for dollar or something.
Yeah.
So we were doing, like, it made it worthwhile. I remember the profit still wasn't great, but it meant we could have Churchills in the store, which
Brought people in.
it brought people in. It got people buying. So yeah, like that was a very interesting few years. And, you know, like obviously Eppo, he had his daughters at the time that didn't bodyboard, and sort of he had staff in there.
Yeah.
And, you know, we all know how that story goes.
And Krista was doing the website, but she was doing her own thing as well and
That's
being
right.
pretty successful in it. Yeah.
And sort of, I guess, a little bit less of attention, you know, people, and like I sort of went to Eppo's definitely to go buy a board off Eppo. And then, you know, when you had staff working in there and you'd have all these guys coming in wanting Eppo's knowledge and Eppo's, you know-how, and you want to buy a board off him and he's not there, I guess that in combination with us working really hard to implement inverted within the community on the Sunshine Coast, I really think it sort of put more people through our doors. It was tough, you know, selling only those sort of limited brands. And there was, you know, having to, you know, people were like, oh, yeah, I like this 4-play board, for example, but yeah, I really think I want the VS Mutual Rollins or something. And, you know, we would always sweeten the deal with, you know, like we'll throw in a pair of fins, you know, just to keep them shopping with us. So yeah, profit margin was low and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was a tough few years. And I do remember the day that Eppo sort of, he came in and he said, he goes, oh mate, like I'm done. Would you like to buy me out? And I just went, oh God, like, is this actually happening? Like, you know, like, wow, we've done it. We've actually made it through. Not that I wanted that.
Yeah.
Not that my goal was to
beat him.
Yeah, like, it was never even in my view. I just wanted to survive and have
be
a
successful
business.
yourself.
Yeah, for
course.
sure. And I never thought the day would come that he would just go, I'm done. Like, I'm completely out. I can't even remember what year that was. It must have been around 2012 by memory. And so anyway, went back to Carmen and went, I want this.
Yeah.
I want to make it happen. So, yeah, anyway, we did. And obviously with that came Eppo's bodyboardshop.com.
Yeah.
But was this before or after you bought the rights to Olive Inverted?
No, so this was before. This
right.
was before. So I still just owned the Sunshine Coast.
So this decision made total business sense because you were getting a website
For sure.
that had a mailing list.
Yep.
Existing customer
had
base.
software. It had a URL. Probably looking back on it these days, that URL,
Yeah.
I can't even remember what I paid for it these days, but that URL, bodyboardshop.com,
Yeah.
is just, it's worth its weight. Like, it is honestly just the best thing since sliced bread. And that was probably one of the best business decisions we made.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, at that time we still just owned Inverted Sunshine Coast. Inverted was actually doing quite well back then. Danny had managed to open up another franchise.
In Brisbane? One.
Was that a good decision? We had one in Port Stephens.
Yep.
We had one in Byron Bay. We had one on the Gold Coast, and then a Brisbane store did open in Albany Creek.
Yep. Which then I keep having a mind blank with what that gentleman's name was.
Jared Watson.
Yep.
Yep.
He eventually came down to the Gold Coast.
That's right.
Yep.
Yep. That sort of fell over pretty quickly, and Danny sort of felt bad and sort of gifted, I guess, that store to Jared.
Yep.
Which I know the rest of the other franchises are like, what?
Weren't too happy about
What?
it.
The Gold Coast store's the biggest store.
Yeah.
Like, you know, how can you do that? So, but yeah, anyway, at that time when I did sort of buy Eppo's Bodyboard Shop out, we were just a Sunshine Coast store. You know, like, what else were we supposed to do? You know, when someone comes, like your competitor comes to you and offers you to buy it out, of course you're going to have to jump on it. And I remember at the time, Mick Parkhill was obviously very interested in it as well. And obviously he being the major player in bodyboarding at that particular time, I was like, oh, if we're ever going to make a name for ourselves or ever going to progress, you know, we had probably owned it. We'd owned that store for probably 3 or 4 years by that time.
Yeah.
and we weren't really getting anywhere.
Yeah.
Well,
on top of that, you were hemmed in because you didn't have access to a website because
that's right.
You couldn't do inverted at the time.
Yeah. So it was...
that wasn't part of the franchise deal.
No, and we were just relying on that walk-in traffic, which was, it's minimal. It was bodyboarding. It was such a small time and, we're relying on walk-in, walk-out traffic. It was too small. It was definitely a hobby and... Again, very grateful for Carmen's real job because that got us through so many years. So that was sort of, I guess, the start of the end also, us buying out Epos. It caused quite a lot of riff in between the inverted franchises.
Yep.
I'm trying to think sort of how that sort of all came about. There was a lot of infighting. It'd be interesting to listen to Danny's podcast that you had with him yesterday afternoon.
I think you'll get a bit from it.
Yeah, on his version of the events. And look,
he was very professional in his in the way he portrayed the story.
Yeah. The lawyer coming out in him.
That's right. Yeah, he knows
He's not being sued by any party soon.
Yeah, that's right.
Those big dollars.
Yeah.
It was an interesting time. Let's put it that way. I wanted to grow. I was very ambitious. I was young. I had a business mind. I just wanted to keep moving forward. I guess my view on a few of the other inverted franchisees is where they just kind of wanted to ride on the coattails of the name inverted because, let's face it, the inverted name, it's amazing. It's so strong. It's in marketing textbooks in America. That logo is such a strong force, even outside of bodyboarding. Going back to that, we decided to keep Eppo's website going and we thought, oh, beauty, we'll sell our stock from our store on Eppo's website. And then a couple of the other stores didn't like that. And we're like, all right, cool. How do we make this work? And we were trying to be amicable about it. And anyway, we diced it. It just wasn't fair. It wasn't fair for somebody. And they all wanted it to be split evenly. And I'm like, well, hang on, wait a minute. I had spent all this money on...
You paid for it.
I paid for it. This is mine. I'm happy to work with you. But so...
And at that point, Danny was purely the franchisee. He didn't own a store or anything.
Right.
He was literally just managing the franchises.
That's right. So I said, all right, cool. Well, let's make this work. So I was actually running bodyboardmart.com at the time, which was Inverted's online store. So to make it fair for everybody, I thought, cool, I'll do, running an online store. It's not as simple as...
Why were they doing Bodyboard Mart instead of Inverted?
I think somebody... And I still think somebody to this day still owns inverted.com.au.
Oh, right.
Actually, no, that's not right. We own inverted.com.au.
Invertedbodyboarding.com.
It might have been something like that, but I know because our website was originally on inverted.net.au.
Yeah.
But then Danny had which was just a website which had a blog and team and all of that kind of stuff, all the information about Inverted on inverted.net.au, but he sort of kept Bodyboard Mart as a separate, just pure e-commerce sort of side of business. So I thought, cool. Well, I'll run the Bodyboard Mart. That can get dispersed through inverted chains, give everyone a little, supplemental income, all of that kind of jazz. And we'll also do bodyboardshop.com.
But you were doing all the work.
Yes.
Yep.
Correct.
Wowie.
Yeah, which I don't need to put too many sentences together to figure out where that was going to go. But it was hard because obviously we started doing very well and our income started going up from the Sunshine Coast point of view. And Danny was traveling. He was a young, successful...
Single man,
loved traveling the world. And he
was doing a lot of world tour judging at the time as well.
Correct. Yep. So he was very involved in bodyboarding.
Was he studying to be a lawyer at that point as well? Or was he
graduated already?
Graduated. He was just sort of enjoying that good life, that good single bachelor life. And, good on him.
Giddy up.
Yeah. But Inverted as a business, it was not run properly. It was not run like a franchise. Everybody did whatever they wanted to, and Danny wasn't sort of there to enforce it. So everybody, had their own views on it.
It was almost everyone that managed their own franchise just bickering at each other and fighting.
Yeah. So, and we got to a point where the Sunshine Coast store started doing well, and I had some of the other stores going, oh, well, you guys are doing so well, so you can pay for the advertising in Riptide.
Oh. Yeah, right.
Michael Novi's salary needs to get paid. Oh, well, the Sunshine Coast can pay for it. You know, you guys are doing so much better than us. And I'm sort of like, well, there's 4 stores.
Yeah. And I'm just a franchisee, the same as you.
100%. Like, it wasn't my brand. Yeah. Like, I was a store owner and it was my life at the time. But I'm sort of like, well, like, why am I footing the bill for everything when, you know, like the magazine advert's going to go out there? It's not just saying Inverted Sunshine Coast. It's sprucing all the stores. So anyway, it's a very, very long story within itself.
This is why you said, how long have you got?
Yeah, for sure. It's very intricate and everything. But basically...
But it's interesting because it's a big part of our sport. Like,
yeah.
It's the biggest retailer.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the time, like, you had so many stores, you know, spread across the coastline. So
definitely.
Yeah.
And so anyway, after we had probably had Bodyboard Shop going for about 6 months, I do remember Carmen and I going down to one of the IBA events down in Port Macquarie. It was when Turbo and everything was sponsoring that big IBA event down there, the World Tour event. And anyway, I can't even remember what it was. It just tipped me over the edge. Just something happening again within the franchises, you know, difference of opinions and something. And I looked at Carmen as we're driving home and I'm like, I don't think I can do this anymore. Like, I think we have to leave Inverted for us to continue to grow, which was a hard decision. Again, like, Inverted was my life.
Yeah.
And it's such a strong, iconic name. Like,
but you also own Bodyboard Shop.
But I also own Bodyboard Shop, so I had another avenue. I was like, look, we're just going to rebrand, and we're just going to become Bodyboard Shop.
Yep.
Like, not Eppo's Bodyboard Shop, not
just Bodyboard Shop,
not Ben's Bodyboard Shop. It was just Bodyboard Shop.
I think Ben's Bodyboard Shop has a really good ring to it.
Don't you reckon?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe
work to be done there. Yep. Little workshop post potty here today, mate.
Yeah, so anyway, we drafted this big long email to Danny, and you know, because the franchise was run so loosely, like, Danny didn't really have a leg to stand on keeping us tied to anything legally with Inverted. So we're like, cool, we're out. Like, we'll just draft this email. We wrote it on the way home from Port Macquarie, and anyway, he rang us straight away. As soon as he got the email, and he's like, "Oh, mate, like, that'd be so sad. Like, you know, like, you guys are such a big part of Inverted and where it's going, and on a day-to-day basis, like, what it does."
Well,
and I'm
on top of that, you guys were driving it at the time.
In a nice way. Like, we were sort of doing everything. Like, and I was like, look, mate, like, that's fine, but like, it's not my business. Like, I need to keep pushing forward. Like, this is my, like, I would love to make $1 off this one day.
But yeah, but your hands were tied.
For sure. So, and anyway, the conversation sort of ended there. Like, that was it. Like, he goes, "Oh, well, like, I'm really sorry that's it, mate." And I was like, "Oh, shit, bugger."
Yeah.
Like, that's actually it. Like, that's final. And but I was excited at the same time. But an hour later, another phone call from Danny. Yeah. And he goes, "Oh, how would you feel about buying the whole thing?" And I just went, "Oh."
Better get out that checkbook again.
I was like, "Oh, man."
Then I've got to still deal with all those franchisees.
Yeah. And I just sort of went, I looked at Carmen and I'm like, I really want this.
It's funny how similar this is to Mick's podcast.
Yeah.
With the big, bright, shiny thing that comes into your brain, and you're like, I really want this every time.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we thought about it. We were like, all right, mate, leave it with us. So we thought about it and we went, righto. We had just brought Eppo's out only 6 months beforehand. So we were tapped beyond tapped. And I'm like, I don't know how we're going to make this work. Anyway, managed to scrap together what Danny was asking for it. And we went back to him and we're like, okay, Danny, like, absolutely happy to take Inverted, like, you know, buy you out from it. However, we don't want Inverted to run in its current state. We would like for you know, obviously being a solicitor himself, he can, you know, do what he needs to do, to terminate every single store's franchise agreements, and not to be malicious. It was more the fact that we actually had the hopes that Inverted would run like a McDonald's.
Yeah,
we wanted to set up Inverted like a proper franchise.
Yeah, systems.
Yes, we you know, like, you know, if you guys want to advertise, this is it. If you guys want to be a part of this, this is your monthly marketing fee.
Yeah.
You know, if you want a cut of the online store and be a part of Inverted, this is what we'll do for you, but this is your fee for it. We just wanted to set it up properly. So anyway, Danny went, yep, no dramas. All the franchise agreements were terminated. We went out and spent...
How were they received?
Not great, obviously. Obviously. But I completely understand that. Like, I hold no grudges towards that because they were just like me. Like, that was their business. That was their livelihood. And again, it wasn't a malicious act by myself. I just wanted a professional business to move forward. And those guys, they didn't see it the way that I saw it, which again, I don't hold anything against them for that. It was what it was. I spent a lot of money doing up a proper franchise agreement that to this day has never been used. Like, we spent tens of thousands of dollars.
Because quickly, and correct me if I'm wrong here, obviously those other inverted stores ceased to exist as inverted stores, and they changed. A couple changed to Flux
Bodyboarding. Yeah. So Jared and Frank and Kay from down in Byron Bay, they no longer wanted to be a part of it. Which I accepted that decision. Like, I won't say that was the ultimate outcome that I wanted, but it did give me free reins to do what I wanted to do.
Develop the business.
And,
which you now owned.
Yes. Like, my mistakes will be my mistakes, which, believe me, I've made plenty of them. But my successes will be my successes. So...
he's been reading a lot of these self-help books, hasn't he?
100%. Anyone want any tips?
We are in a seminar room.
Yeah. So you should be writing stuff on this whiteboard, not me.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah. So look, those guys made their business decision to go and rebrand, and again, it was kind of like the Epos thing. I didn't want to see them cease to exist.
Yep.
Like, one less more bodyboard shop in the industry. It's worse for the sport.
Yeah, it cripples the sport.
It's worse for the sport.
On top of that, those stores were running clubs and everything in their local
100%.
areas and servicing the bodyboard crew in those areres. So.
Yeah, definitely. So, like that sort of, it sort of ceased to exist. I wasn't mad about it. I'm not going to lie. Like, it was one of those, it all happens for a reason. And, that's sort of, I guess, the end of that chapter, which kind of just freed myself up to run the franchise store and the online store how I saw fit. That's kind of that in a nutshell. And then I guess the whole, it was some years later, the BSE, the demise sort of happened.
The collapse.
And, going back to that, sorry, like, I sort of just had the Sunshine Coast store and a successful online store, and we ran that for many, many years, and I was happy with that, honestly. Like, it was great. Like, I worked a lot myself in the store. I hired a few staff, and, as the online grew a little bit more. And then, about 9 years ago, when the whole BSC thing happened, we had an opportunity to open up on the Gold Coast, and we sort of seized that opportunity, which was another investment.
Got to spend money to make money.
Yeah. So, and look, that's been a great thing. The Gold Coast bodyboard community is amazing, and we sort of slotted straight in here.
But you weren't a stranger to the area anyway,
no.
Mate. You were quite a renowned figure within bodyboarding community.
Yeah.
Not just as a retailer, but again, because of your involvement at grassroots competitive level with the Sunny Coast Club, and also formerly QAB, which turned into Bodyboarding Queensland or whatnot.
Yeah.
So everyone knew who you were.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Your intentions, they were pretty clear from the word get-go.
Yeah, definitely. And like, that was the thing. I put myself so much in the industry, like early on in the days, being judging and, being at all the events and all that kind of stuff. So it was a great one. And opening up the Gold Coast store was definitely another interesting hurdle.
What, obviously, on top of that, there were the foreclosures of Flux.
Yes.
Did they, and my memory's a little hazy here, did they shut down prior to BSC?
They did.
I thought so.
So I know Flux Gold Coast, like in Burleigh, definitely closed down before because of
that moved from the original shop front, and that moved over the road.
Over the road. Yeah. It was hard.
Which, even if they were working hard now and that shop was still going, you couldn't have that shop anymore because the way the tram lines go.
Yeah, the tram lines have moved in there. Yeah. Look, that was... I'm sure that there's another side to that particular story, and I don't know the ins and outs of it, but moving across to that side of the street was just so hard to get to for consumers.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a hard move, and obviously a name change and all that kind of stuff in the middle of it. But
to move location and name change.
Yeah. That was a tough one. And I think by memory, Jared closed that store, and I don't think BSE happened too long after.
No, it was pretty quick.
And I don't know if the Byron Bay store officially has closed down, but I think that just no longer exists.
They closed about 2-3 years ago.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
But on top of that, there was also the previous Epo space up in the old Burley Theatre Arcade that the Wallius had.
Yep. Yeah.
What did they keep that name as?
Burley Bodyboard Shop.
Burley Bodyboard Shop.
Yeah, BBS. Yeah.
God, when you look back at that period,
for sure,
like
three thriving bodyboard stores in one area.
Yeah. I mean, even before that, there was Launchpad in Surfers Paradise, which used to be in a little dungeon.
Yep.
Like bizarre.
Clive
and Evan used to run that place. But bananas. Like BSC and Cooley, you had Inverted and Burley, you had Epo. It was like
the online revolution, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It is, and it's hard. Like my accountant wants to slap me every single financial year. He goes, why do you keep these stores open? Like the physical bricks and mortar stores, you got huge rents, you got staff, you've got all the overheads of running a bricks and mortar store. And he's like, look at your online store.
The e-commerce side of it,
Look, and how much that costs to run versus your bricks and mortar store. But
you need it.
How can we not be here?
Yeah.
We cease to exist as a bricks and mortar store. You don't have a place for the community to come. The clubs lose out. Everything becomes a little less. So, yeah, we're here and we're here to stay. And it's for the foreseeable future. Yeah, it's gold.
Yeah,
and obviously, probably another step moving forward in your business is distribution. So you're the Australian distributor for Pride.
For Pride, yep.
How'd that come about?
Well, that's at the same.
I reckon that story's going to go. He was offered it, and he went to Carmen and said, "I want this."
You know what? It was that. And you know what? The exact same timing that it happens. We were pushing a newborn around. So about 9 years ago, when my second was born, in an abandoned BSC store.
Oh wow!
It literally happened at exactly the same time.
Right.
So we were in the abandoned BSC store, and we're going, what are we doing here? Are we gonna start up this bodyboard store here in Coolangatta again? Because we were down here on holidays when we heard the news, and I don't think anybody believed it at the time. And I rang the shopping center, and I'm like, get me in there. Let me have a look at the store. Like they didn't even know that he had gone at the time. And anyway, we were pushing the pram around in the abandoned store, and Wes, Marcus, and Adam Ware from Hot Butter Distribution at the time literally rings my mobile while we were in the store and goes, "Mate, Hot Butter Distribution is officially done with Pride. We can't think of anybody better to do it than yourself. We want you to do it." And I just went, how?
Let me put you on speaker, Carmen.
Yeah.
I need you to speak to my accountant.
Yeah, like seriously, like I just can't believe how much everything always happens at
Carmen,
once.
you've got a promotion coming up, right?
Yeah. So anyway, we had to absorb somehow filling out a whole bodyboard store worth of stock, and also finding enough money to import containers of bodyboards and fins and leashes and all the rest of it. So another very interesting time.
This is the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it?
Yeah. I hate money.
I can't wait to sit down with you in another 2-3 years and just see what other crazy harebrained schemes you've come up with.
When he owns limited edition, David.
Yes, that's right.
Because right after this interview, I'm going to make the offer. And Carmen.
I think Carmen's sick of hearing, Carmen, I want this.
You know what? We'll just call Carmen direct. Yeah. We'll just call her direct.
Yeah, no, I think that lifeline's been used up.
So how is that? Because again, distribution's a whole different kettle of fish, because then you're basically got a new set of competitors within your market.
Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting one to navigate, because obviously the first thing you get is you get stores ringing you. You get other distributors in Australia, alarm bells are ringing for them that, oh my God, like a store now has a distribution. like they're just going to undercut us. They're just going to, they're just going to only push, that particular product through that particular store.
I mean, history states has been done in this sport many times.
Been there, done that. But I hope that everybody listening, the one or two listeners that are listening.
Have we got two?
I think that was shots fired.
Have we got two?
No.
I'm sure it was one. I'm sure it was one.
No, but I kind of pride myself on being professional.
Pride.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying here.
Jeez. The sly marketing campaign continues.
I'm also still a bit ginger. No, like I set things up right. I do things right. I try to be the sort of
Systematic.
Yeah, the pinnacle. Like I try to do things properly. Like I don't do things half-assed. When I'm in on something, I'm all in on it. And
like when you wipe out an old woman, you don't do it half-assed.
We'll start up tennis.
Go the whole hog.
Million miles an hour. Let's go.
Yeah. So look, we've never done it. We obviously have an invested interest in the Pride products and the Vulcan fins and all of that, and we stock them in our store. But anybody that comes into our store knows that if they want to come in and buy an NMD or
they're
a
getting
Science,
an NMD.
they get an NMD or a Science. We don't go, oh yeah, hey man, but how about this Pride? Tristan Roberts, like it's just not what we do. And, we've been doing it for 8-9 years now, and I can still hold my head up high and say that we've done right. We've never undercut anybody. We sell to the stores.
You push our product extremely hard.
100%. But like, there's and I guess it comes back to also, almost back to like the inverted days as well. Like Pride's not my brand.
Yeah.
I don't own part of Pride. I'm the distributor of it. I work hard for Pride the brands. And
You're
I work,
a conduit.
Yeah.
Yeah, on top of that, you've called them out on issues that you've had.
For sure.
Yeah.
100%. And like it is sort of the way that the industry has gone as well. Like it's no secret that there are a lot of bodyboard shops out there now associated with particular brands. But that also allows us to get slightly better margins on things as well to keep our doors open. Like our overheads are massive. So if we can make a little bit more margin on a particular product, of course we're going to take it. It's just, it needs to be done in the right way, and it needs to be an even playing field for everybody in the bodyboarding industry. Otherwise...
Well, on top of that, you recognise the marketing power, because, I mean, you mentioned it with Eppo's shop before, not having all those brands. You've already recognised that you need all the brands.
For sure.
Yeah, in order to draw people in.
Definitely. You need to sell all bodyboarding products, because not one particular brand is everybody's cup of tea, and it goes through fads. So you burn a bridge somewhere, and it goes the same from being a supplier's point of view as well. Like we've seen it many a times within this industry, like a particular supplier will start sort of not creating an even playing field for everybody. So, like either discounts or that.
Yep.
They don't
heavily discounting online.
They don't last.
Yeah.
They lose support from the bodyboarding industry either via other suppliers or through the retailers.
Yeah.
And they don't last. Like it's just tried and tested. Like you undercut everybody, see you later.
These are the repercussions.
Yeah, it's just not going to work. So it's in everybody's best interest to keep that even playing field and keep it fair for everybody, because, I don't know if anybody knows this, but the profit margin in bodyboarding is
it's huge.
It's pretty slim pickings. It's pretty slim gyms.
Yeah.
So
I drive around in my higher Hyundai Getz on the Gold Coast.
100%.
That's about 20 years old.
Mate, the air conditioning is not up to scratch today, mate.
Not with the Gold Coast humidity. Yeah.
No, there's fluid leaking under the dashboard. So, it's good.
I don't know what that was actually.
Mate,
I actually want to ask a bit about his marketing for the everything you've been doing. So you've been heavily involved with like the ABA tour.
Yep.
You did the pros, obviously.
Yep.
But also one of the major ones, the Aussie Buccaneers trip to South Africa.
Arr.
What was that? I don't even remember it.
Tell us a bit about those.
Oh man. Yeah.
Have you chosen not to remember it?
It was a wild time to be alive. It was a wild time to be alive.
Were you there, Cramsie?
Yeah,
I was
Cramsie was there. Yeah.
I don't remember much either.
Seriously.
I reckon you've both signed NDAs.
Yeah, it's far out. Look, it was a month in South Africa with extremely cheap alcohol.
Yep.
And a bunch of, there was probably like 12 or 13 of us Aussies.
Of Aussies.
And how many underage?
Oh, their fair share.
Yeah.
There was probably a good 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, there was a couple.
Liam
Yeah.
Lucas.
Simo was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Simo,
was there.
you had Liam Lucas. I think it was Liam's late mother there on that trip.
Liam's mum and dad were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they followed us around. It was a great trip. It was a wild trip.
Skunked a bit with the waves.
Definitely. And every time, it was so frustrating. Because we flew into Cape Town and sort of did the whole month road trip all the way through to Durban. Every time we would go into a town and we'd talk to, because we'd always meet up with the local bodyboard clubs and the local bodyboard scene and stuff. And they're like, oh, you're here at the wrong time of year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, seriously? Cheers, Danny. Why are you organising this bodyboard, Australia versus South Africa trip
in the off-season?
In the worst time of waves. Like, we did score J Bay though.
Yeah, you guys got a cracking J Bay session.
Pumping with nobody out.
Yeah.
So that was a silver lining.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, it was wild. I can't believe how many times happy hour would come around and we would lose the Safa boys and we'd catch up with them the next day and they're like, oh, what'd you do? And we'd be like, oh, we just jumped in the back of this guy's car and went to this pub and jumping off to this one, just staggered back absolutely blind. And they go, that's how people go missing.
Yeah.
Like,
in South Africa.
Yeah, you don't do that stuff here. Like, you got guys walking around with AKs and just like...
Nice on Aussies.
Yeah, just idiots, eh? Like...
Typical Aussie tourists, eh?
Yeah. Look, it was a great trip. Yeah.
Would you do it again?
For sure. I did make sure it was organised differently.
So... Danny did mention last night that he's started the conversation back up with Clinton.
Right.
Not for South Africa, though.
Okay.
So similar kind of vibe, but maybe meet somewhere in the middle that you will potentially get better waves.
For sure.
And maybe...
What I have the feeling Ben's going to suggest the Cook Islands.
Danny suggested it. I actually said no, mate. I think there's better opportunities for... If you're going to get...
You can't really tour around...
No.
A place you drive 45 minutes to get around.
Of course you can. We've all been there. It's free place.
Yeah. Pick those high tide times.
Damn straight. Yeah.
Yeah. No, look, it was a great trip. I don't know if I'd do that one again in South Africa. I think we got away with a lot of things that were, we were very lucky.
Frowned upon.
Yeah. Stoked that's in the past and been there, done that. It was a good one. The future pros and stuff, though, I guess.
Which has been a pretty successful ongoing event.
Look, I wish it was bigger than what it is. I think that event deserves to be bigger than what it is. Hats off to Silas again for that particular event. He does a great job. This year was amazing, even though we had less entries and got a bit skunked on the waves. But it's just run so well. And having an event for 18 and under, that's perfect. That's what we need.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to get guys.
The next gen.
And if we can somehow feed that pathway into a more professional tour, that's the next step.
Who are you looking at then? You were kind of eyeballing everyone at the table.
I was eyeballing you.
No, you mainly, mate. You mainly. Yeah.
Mate, you've obviously been a big supporter of upcoming kind of bodyboarders and persisting with seeing them through their careers, mate. You've got even now still one of the strongest teams in the sport. Do you want to run us through, I guess, your current team? Particularly Lockie. Give us a bit of a rundown of how his life's been, because you got behind him. Wow. How old were you?
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to think.
13.
13-ish, because I actually... This is a different story, but I remember both Epos and Ben inverted.
Coming after you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember standing in Epos and I said, is there anyone new I should be knowing about and so forth? And he goes, there's this young bloke, Lachlan Cramsie. But he said, he's great, but he's also really heavily involved in lifeguarding, life-saving. And you're competing.
Yeah, like the clubby stuff, though.
Said he's super fit and everything. And then 2 seconds later, bang, bang on the window. It was Cramsie doing a lap of the block. You used to run past her all the time?
Yeah, I used to run there.
Yeah. So
Was that your key way of trying to get recognised? Just chuck hot laps
Yeah,
to
I
the
was
block?
just running back. I wasn't doing laps, just back and forth. 100-metre runs.
Hey, how are you? Ooh, yeah, look at
Yeah, I'm back again. How are you?
Yeah.
So, yeah, obviously you've been sporting Lockie since day one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, look, we've always been involved with, younger athletes and professional athletes as well. We always have, we always will be. It's a part of, it's kind of like coming back to that content phase, of video clips as well. Like you got to support the guys that are in the limelight because, they're going to support you and, it's a two-way street. So, yeah, it's good. We've got a good team. We've got a whole bunch of new young guys on, like Jai Taylor, Tully Roberts,
Victorian.
All the Victorians.
Victorian.
The whole Taylor family is pretty much just an inverted sponsorship, walking inverted billboard, which is great. It's really good. It's like guys like Shane Ackerman, Michael Novi, Chase O'Leary. Like, God, yeah.
Where's Shane now?
It keeps going,
South Coast?
Yeah, Shane's he's in Wollongong.
Yep.
He's chasing it pretty hard still. He's an interesting cat. He's he flies solo on so many things. Like he'll just ring me and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just in Namibia," or "Oh yeah, I'm just in Tahiti again chasing a swell," or I just finished a session over at the WA, at the right or something like that. And he's just like, and I'm like, "Well, who'd you go with?" And he goes, "Oh no, I just saw a swell and I thought I'd just fly over."
Because you spent a fair bit of time with him for a period, like when you were living down on the South Coast.
Yeah, I lived, I don't know, let's say half an hour away from him. So we chased waves for a while together. And yeah, he probably maybe started me off in a couple of at least the big waves on the
Hammer Bobby.
Yeah, he started me on that, so that was great.
It's not a wave.
That was a sick one, yeah. Yeah, that was a great introduction.
If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but he just loves flying solo and it works so well for him. He's just an animal in the ocean, like he's a freak.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's insane.
He hates making a barrel.
Yeah.
If he makes a barrel, he's disappointed. Yeah, not deep enough.
Yeah. And I mean, he's spoken quite highly of in surfing circles as well, which is always a great thing for our sport.
And I think he's sort of recognised that as well. Like he, again, has a real job and he chases swells on the sides, but like he's got such strong relationships with brands like Yeti, for example. Like he's in some film festival, like that they did a film on him, like he's a part of that particular film that Yeti was a part of. And I think he's sort of more looking as a bodyboarding as just a part angle. Like, yes, he throws himself into the biggest, gnarliest waves, but he's also, he dives and he spearfishes. And
which from a online content perspective, there is a huge opportunity for him to, I don't say just cash in, but make a career out of it.
For sure. And not just bodyboarding brands, but selling that beach outdoor
healthy
lifestyle. And, like proof in the pudding, like he hadn't posted for about 3 months and then he posted a random clip of just that. He reheated that bombing clip the other day and he's got like Jamie O'Brien, Kelly Slater, like he literally has the who's who of everybody commenting, sharing.
Nate Florence,
Yep. It blows your minds. Like he just doesn't do that much socially and doesn't actually push himself that much. But when he does something, it goes so far.
He's like an ocean stuntman. Like honestly, if he's in the ocean, he's doing something.
And
crazy.
I think his low keyness, if that's such a thing,
below the radar.
But he just flies so far below the radar. He's so humble in the surf. Like he'll just go out into a lineup. He won't big note himself. He won't bring a crew of 5 or 6 other big name surfers. He literally just paddles out solo and he's like, "Oh, hey man, like,
He's literally there just to throw himself into waves.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
It's not there for, the marketing that other people are trying to do or anything like that.
No. And he doesn't do it for the dollars either. He does it because he loves it. He recognizes that it's a hobby. And he's made great connections, by doing that. So hats off to him. I reckon he's
for sure.
I think a lot of people could take sort of a leaf out of his book on sort of, taking bodyboarding, I guess, maybe a little bit more seriously than just a hobby. Like I don't think anyone's really earning that much of a wage off bodyboarding. You have to either have a really good job that you can travel around and earn decent money with, and then also have bodyboarding support, but also outside support as well, like brands outside of bodyboarding.
No, you cannot solely survive on the bodyboarding industry to have a career.
Definitely not.
And I've spoken about this with a few guys in the past. Kind of probably almost be 10 years ago when guys like Ben Player, Winnie Hardy was still on the world tour, and the world tour was really good at that time.
Yeah.
Those guys had brand managers working for them. Like, I'm kind of surprised that more guys or aspiring professional athletes didn't go, that's what I need to do.
100%.
Like,
yep, having an actual rider manager.
Yep, you're paying 20%, but that 20%
find the money.
Yeah, but that 20% is going to get you about 400% more.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I was actually, funnily enough, having this conversation with Shane about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I was discussing this exact thing with him. Like he sort of needs...
Get an agent.
Yep. He needs to find an agency. He needs to go, look, this is what I do. This is how, I promote myself. This is the reach that I have. If you want to earn money, off me, go find me things.
Yep.
So, and it happens. It happens in every sport. So why should bodyboarding be any different? So, yeah, I think it's a good avenue that people should look at.
We're going to kind of start to wrap this up a little bit.
Yep.
And we touched base on it briefly before. This is kind of almost like a multi-pronged question. Like, how do you see the current state of bodyboarding at a retail level?
Yep.
And what do you kind of foresee for the next few years? B, at a competitive level, and C, as a sustainable sport level?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, for sure. Look, yeah, that is. How long we got? Look, from a retail point of view, and, Shane, you see this as well, like, the sales are good.
Yep.
Sales are fine. There's no issues there. We are selling just as many bodyboards as we ever have. There is no decline on that level at all. The entry-level boards, the intermediate boards, we sell heaps of them. Like, there's no lacking there of people wanting to get into the sport or doing the sport. It's just not focused on those competitive avenues. So,
or feeding it into the bodyboard stores. Like, the one issue we've got, like, we're all still doing as well as what we always have.
Yep.
But we're also competing against those Rebels,
for sure,
Amarts,
100%.
Those sorts of things who the money just goes out the door.
So even
and gets sucked away from our industry.
Yeah. One thing that is being quite recent is Rip Curl are actually now doing their own Rip Curl branded boards.
Bodyboards,
Yeah, they used to, I think, get Nalu or something like that.
Doing the same again.
Yeah, like...
Yep.
It's because they've seen that trend.
I used to stock those people as well. And
it's because they've seen that trend again to bodyboarding. It's what used to happen, in the 90s. It's already happened. It's already happened once. Like, surfing kind of went, oh, hello. There's a market here again.
Yeah, we can make some money.
Yeah, so so now they're going off and starting their own brands, but it'll be interesting to see how long that lasts.
Part of the reason is they're starting to go vertical.
Yep.
So because they've all been taken over by these hedge funds,
yep.
They're actually choosing not to deal, like Rip Curl is choosing not to deal with Billabong, because they're different hedge funds.
Yep.
And what they're trying to do is go vertical, so that then they don't want to buy from, say, limited edition anymore. So they're going, well, how do we stop that? Well, we'll just get a bodyboard and press Rip Curl or Billabong on it.
And they're also getting consumer pressure as well. So, everyone wants a bargain. Everyone wants a deal. And, I get it. Sure. If I want to buy something online, I'll hunt around for a discount code or, find out where the best price is that I can get it from.
You've got a deal for Black Friday, by the way.
Next question.
How many times have you been asked that in the last 2 weeks, mate?
Crazy.
Well, lucky this potty's not coming out till early in the year, mate. So.
Black Friday can burn. It can burn. Look, and that's the thing. Like, everyone goes, oh, why isn't bodyboarding as big as what it used to be back in the day? And, I don't have, obviously, a clear-cut answer to that. Where I see it is we have more dilution. We have more brands on the market these days as well. Like, when bodyboarding was thriving in the late 80s, early 90s, we only had 4 or 5 bodyboard brands realistically on the market. Like
Manta.
You had Manta, you had Moray, Rio Pipo, I guess, to some extent. So you had all these people bodyboarding buying one of 3 or 4 bodyboard brands.
Yes, there was other brands, but they weren't necessarily distributed in Australia.
For sure. So all the money was getting funneled back into 4 people or 4 companies, sorry, should I say. Whereas now, look how many bodyboard brands there are.
Yeah.
There are so many, and they pop up and come down, and, you know, like we'll have some that pop up for 12 months. And, you know, they might only manufacture 200, 300 boards, but all that does is essentially, in my opinion, take away 200 or 300 sales from another brand that's been here forever, that invests in the sport. So again, I don't have a clear-cut answer for that. But in terms of where the market is, I think it's strong. I can't see it going anywhere. You know, COVID's proved that people love seaside change. Our population just here on the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast, and I'm sure
it's ridiculous.
I'm sure all seaside towns across Australia have just grown dramatically. So, which is obviously putting more bums on the beach, which means people are going to buy bodyboards, going to buy surfboards. I think where we find ourselves in a hard place is inflation. You know, like our dollar is horrible against America at the moment. So we buy everything in US dollars. So that really hurts us when our dollar's bad. And obviously all the manufacturing costs have gone up. All the importing costs have significantly increased since COVID. But how much can you really charge for a bodyboard at the end of the day?
We haven't adjusted our retail pricing because of it. So most bodyboard companies are absorbing a lot of those costs.
Exactly right. So, you know, like a bodyboard, we'll just use $100 bodyboard, for example, is probably costing maybe 25, 30% potentially more.
On top of that, the worst thing about Australia at the moment is shipping costs.
Yes, exactly right. Shipping even just within Australia. Yeah. Like let alone getting the
shipping
container
in Australia
here.
is shock.
It's horrible. Yeah. It is absolutely, it's probably my one thing that gives me nightmares about every night is number one, the cost.
And no one in the bodyboard industry can do anything about it. It's out of our control.
100%.
It's like external forces.
Obviously with the whole industry.
You could just go back into the shipping game again, Shano.
You've
got the experience.
Got the van.
Got the van.
Get the Hyundai Gets going around the Gold Coast.
That's
it. But yeah, like, you know, I feel bad for people in Western Australia. Like, if you, like the whole bodyboarding industry essentially is on the east coast of Australia. Yeah. If you want a bodyboard over in WA, you know, you got to order 2-3 weeks in advance if you want it. Like it's a long time to get to, and it costs a crazy amount to get there. So yeah, look, you know, just coming back to that retail side of thing, it's strong. I can't see it going anywhere. I think it'll just only increase with population increases in coastal areas. It's just how we navigate through, I guess, costs. You know, the cost of shipping going up, you know, cost of everyone wanting free shipping online over a certain threshold.
And then the cost for you to absorb distribution for limited edition surf hardware.
Exactly right. Carmen.
Yeah.
Carmen, we need to have a chat.
I want this.
Call a lifeline, please.
Mate, and again, okay, so what about the sport itself? Obviously, you know, there's some things that are completely out of our control. We now live in a society filled with short-term media. Yep. Everyone just wants their quick fix through.
Right here, right now.
Yep. They want to see their 45-second, you know, injection, and they're done with it. Obviously, it's no secret that from a competitive perspective, both domestically and on the international stage, it's not great. You know, there's currently not a national tour in Australia. I've openly spoken about that many times, and there's plenty of reasons why it kind of can't happen at the moment. Like, short answer is money.
For sure.
But it's pretty diabolical. Like the world tour, like you have to give some credit, like the guys behind that, whoever those mystery figures are. Like they're still running some events, but it's not a world tour.
Well, how can it be a world tour when one of the main, you know, stages isn't on there? Australia, like there's no event in Australia. Can't call it a world tour when there's hardly any Australians on the event. And
some of the most prestigious, you know, bodyboarding waves in the world aren't even on that tour, such as Pipe.
100%. So yeah, look, again, I don't know whether it's coming back to sort of a generational cycle. I'm hoping, personally, I am hoping it's a cycle, and just that competitive bodyboarding isn't where it's at right now. It seems like competitive bodyboarding, it is actually strong. It's just not strong in Australia. You know, like you got places like South America and that, like they seem to be
thriving,
absolute gangbusters. And like hats off to those guys. Like they seem to be pushing it really well and they're making it happen. In terms of Australia, it's a tough one. Like you and I have spoken about this many and many times before. We need to have structure. You know, we paired off, you know, back from the old QAB days and joined Surfing Queensland, Surfing Australia and all that because we thought it would stop some of the infighting within bodyboarding because you have different personalities, different egos, you have different people trying to run the organisation. And at the time, I thought it was the best decision to move to Surfing Australia.
Yeah,
essentially, to have that body there, to have an impartial body, to essentially make the hard calls at the end of the day. It wasn't, a particular party, making, nope, this is what we're doing, because it kind of aligns to where I want to run business, sort of thing. So
that hasn't worked out well for things here in Queensland, has it?
No.
Tell us a bit about that. Benny's talked about it before, but obviously you've run the 2 clubs up here, or, involved with the 2 clubs. What's your relationship with being with that?
With Surfing Queensland?
Yeah.
Insert cricket noises here.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything nice to say.
Bleeped out.
You know what Mum said? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
Look, and from what I gather, Surfing Australia, they seem to be doing pretty good with bodyboarding, and they have good relationships with Bodyboarding Victoria, and Surfing New South Wales seems to do okay. Okay, mixed reactions. Surfing Queensland, look, they might as well not even register bodyboarding on their radar. They have, in my opinion, no interest in helping bodyboarding whatsoever. They just don't care. We are legit a number to them. We're a membership number to increase their membership numbers.
We're key data.
Yeah.
Because they then use that key data in their applications for government funding, which they then use to put back into shortboarding. I'm not even going to say surfing because it is shortboarding.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, a short, small story here. Silas and I had a quick meeting with Surfing Queensland a couple of years ago, and they're like, how can we get the numbers bigger in state titles? we used to run 3-day events.
Yeah.
And we used to have a Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast, Byron Bay. Now we have one event that is over by lunchtime. It's very, very sad. And, they come to us and they're like, how can we fix it? How can we do this? And, I thought it was a pretty simple solution, really. I'm like, Gold Coast bodyboard clubs, just look at their statistics. 70 to 80% of the Gold Coast club members live in Tweed, Cabarita, Byron Bay. They live in northern New South Wales. But Surfing Queensland has a rule that you can't surf in a Queensland state title event if you have a residential address in New South Wales.
Which is hilarious because where's D-Bar?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And that was my point to him exactly. I'm like, so you're happy to deny entry to the best bodyboarders, technically surfing Queensland waves all the time, and are involved in a Queensland bodyboard club, and
are happy to be members of Surfing Queensland.
Yeah. Exactly right. We're in a bubble. Queensland, New South Wales border, holy moly, it's all the same.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, you're happy to hold an event in the Queensland state titles in New South Wales, but you weren't happy to hold New South Wales competitors? Where are you drawing the line? And they just blank-faced.
I think they draw the line at the river, mate.
Yeah.
That's where they draw the line.
They just didn't care. So, that was kind of the short story for that one. I just kind of gave up after that. It was a bit disheartening. Because that is really how we're going to get a lot more members back into Surfing Queensland.
Look, maybe there'll be some change. There's a new CEO at Surfing Queensland, bit of a shake-up.
Yeah.
But in saying that, in complete hindsight, obviously we also touched on this before, some pretty outlandish news with the announcement that we are being completely segregated from the Nationals. All versions of surfing. It's not a festival of surfing anymore. Shortboarders are going to be here, longboarders are going to be there, supping's going to be there, and bodyboarding is in the kiddie pool.
In a pool.
Yep, with floaties.
Floaties on now.
Yeah. Whee!
Yeah, they'll make us wear life jackets.
And helmets.
I guarantee we will be wearing helmets.
Helmets, yeah.
Dear God.
Yep.
Wow.
Have you had to wear one in the pool?
Nope.
It's not fun.
All right, Benny. Well, thanks so much for your time. That's been an absolutely incredible kind of conversation to really kind of peel back the layers of...
It was okay.
Wow.
All right. Where's the door?
Make sure you get your parking.
I want to just make sure she was okay with it.
Can I get my parking validated?
Fucking hell. Tough crowd. Tough crowd. Was that payback for the 1 to 2 listeners comment?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Been waiting to say that, eh? Yeah.
But mate, one thing we do with all of our podcasts is we basically wrap things up with a bit of a quick fire. They're pretty generic questions. Just, to give the audience, those 1 to 2 listeners, a bit of a background to what drives you and what you're into. First question, favourite band? You recently went to your first live music show in quite a long time.
Yeah. I hadn't been in one for a while. Went to
Simply
go
Red.
see.
I'm just trying to get
Mate,
the jokes
there's
in.
enough out of you, mate. Enough out of you.
No, went and saw
Amity Affliction.
Amity Affliction,
Yep.
yeah, River Stage.
Yep.
Joel, a fellow booger. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good to have him in your corner for backstage passes and tickets. So it's
Looked
good.
like an epic show.
Yeah, it was good.
You're good mates too, aren't you? He used to
Yeah.
work in the store, didn't he?
Yeah. No, I've known Joel for a very long time. Been
Yeah.
to Bali with him a few times, and it's good.
Incredible artist, both musically and with his hand. Obviously, does it some really good drawings.
Yep.
Has he still got his coffee shops? Death by Decaf. You still got that? Was that his?
No, I don't think
One of
that
the
was
other
his.
band members.
Yeah, no, I think
Yep.
that might have been somebody else. Yeah, no, he's does his drawing and his graffiti and
Yep.
But yeah, no, favourite band probably Pennywise.
Yeah, and they're touring next year
Yeah, I know.
with Millencolin.
Oh, good.
You going?
Yeah, with Melancholy, 100%. If I can get tickets, yeah. No, I'll definitely be there.
Yep.
Favorite film?
Favorite film? I am a sucker for The Hobbit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings trilogies. Love them.
We're gonna edit that out.
Oh, come on, mate. You know they're masterpieces.
Can't get
wow.
into them. Are you watching the new TV show?
No.
No.
What one's that?
There's a new Lord of the Rings TV show.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Nah, sometimes
Apple TV.
you can run a thing too long.
Yeah. Peter Jackson definitely did with each one of those films.
About 4 hours each, weren't they?
Yeah, bring it on.
Favorite car?
Favorite car? One that I own? Be my car now.
Yep.
200 series Land Cruiser.
Not the Holden Captiva.
The crap Tiva.
Oh, mate.
No.
We had a crap TV too,
Crap
mate. So
Tiva.
my son's currently got it.
Mate.
It's still running
does
though.
it blow?
Still going.
Is it diesel?
Yes.
Yeah. Jesus, the injectors in ours went straight
No,
away.
sorry.
It was a horrible,
It's been going all
horrible car. Nah, can't be the trusty Land Cruiser.
So that
Yep.
took you around Australia?
Yeah, it took us around Australia.
Yeah.
Towed the caravan.
Tell us
Now-
about that trip.
Don't want to.
Don't want to?
Don't want to.
Because you think about it too
I
much.
don't want to relive it. It was too good.
You
I
really
wish-
don't want to be on the coast anymore, do you?
Honestly, when I retire, I'll be spending 6 to 8 months of the year on the road for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that lifestyle. Being in a caravan, just cruising, being a nomad.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I really, really loved it. I love spending time with the kids as well.
Well, that's what I mean. Like such an experience for the kids.
Yeah, and that was the thing. We actually planned for it even before COVID had hit. We just obviously owning your own business, Carmen working full time as well in corporate. We didn't actually spend that much time with our kids. They went to daycare 5 days a week as soon as they could, and school started, and I just sort of went, oh my god, their younger years are legit. Leaving us, and I'm going to miss quite a lot of them. So
It only happens once.
yeah, we made the decision. We were like, whatever happens, we're leaving in 2020 to go travel and do 6 to 8 months in 2020, and then again in 2021 we'll do another 6 to 8 months. Obviously, being home for the Christmas periods when it was just too busy. But yeah, best decision I ever made, and yeah, cherish it very much. So loved hanging out with the kids.
Yeah.
And just got back from another little weekend away.
Yeah,
Fraser Island?
Fraser Island. Yeah, Gari.
Yep.
Kagari. However you want to say it. It was good.
Yeah, because it's not called Fraser Island
It's not
anymore.
called Fraser Island.
Ah.
Politically incorrect.
Like Uluru.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of things that you can't hike up Mount Warning anymore down here in
No.
northern New South Wales.
Yeah.
Wild.
That's another podcast, mate.
Yeah. Not this one.
You didn't do the Welcome to Country before we...
No,
That's M's job, mate. That's M's job.
Favourite TV show?
Favorite TV show? Ooh, that is a tough one. I got two: Brooklyn Nine-Nine
Oh, nice.
and
let's
The
go.
Office US.
Yep.
Yeah. Hard to go past that.
New
Didn't age.
Office about to come out.
I know. Yeah.
Yep. Called
Is
The
that
Paper.
the Australian version?
There's
Isn't it?
an Australian version out at the moment.
Yep.
I think they're
And-
redoing The Office US as well. They're doing a limited 10.
It's called The Paper.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's coming out as well.
It's just, I laugh every
Yeah.
time, man. I
Yeah.
can just go home and it doesn't matter. You can watch a 15, 20-minute episode and I just laugh.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how many times I watch it.
Mate, favorite bodyboarding film?
Favorite bodyboarding film? Maybe the very first Joker.
Yep.
Yeah, really.
That was tough to watch.
It was.
Yeah.
But
It's
it's
good because
just
it's
something
tough to
that I always remember. Always remember that. Yeah, probably my favorite.
Favorite bodyboard section. Sorry,
Favorite
I lost
bodyboard
the thought.
section. Again, that's two-part for me. They're both out of Visions DVDs. Obviously, Sunny Coast based.
Yeah.
Can't go past that. Visions 1, Michael Novi section. That used to be my amp up for sure. And then Visions 2, John O'Bruce section.
Yeah.
Can't go past them. Those, seriously, they don't get old. They are amazing.
I feel
in my
like
opinion.
those DVDs got played in the shop a lot.
Mate.
On
repeat.
Yeah.
On repeat. Visions were...
Thousands of hours.
That's almost my favourite bodyboarding DVD, but the Joker, that just always slots in there as my most memorable favourite. But yeah, those two sections, Novi Visions 1, John O'Bruce Visions 2.
Have you ever been mistaken for somebody famous? Basically, any ginger person.
Pretty much.
Ed Sheeran?
Look, yeah, mate, that is one when we're on the piss all the time, no matter where we are. The last one, I got someone, I don't know where I was. Anyway, we'd had a couple of drinks and we were in an elevator. It might have actually been down here on the Goldie for something. In an elevator, it's all quiet. It's just the start of the night. And then there's these other people that are in there and they go to some of my mates, they go, "Oh, how much did you hire Ed Sheeran to be with you for the night?" And I was just like,
that's a low blow, isn't it?
But yeah, no, I do get the Ed Sheeran one a fair bit. I did once get called Dave Winchester, if you can call him a famous person. I guess he's famous in the bodyboarding industry.
I've heard you get called that.
Yeah, like they go, oh, like I remember someone coming in and this was early on in the piece and they're like, oh, you know, like how did you find chili and all this kind of stuff? And they legit thought I was Dave Winchester.
Go along with it.
I actually made the comment to you, I think 12 months ago, that Marley done.
Marley, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll take his youth. I'll take his youthness.
He'd like your height, I think. First board. Oh, I think it's a boring one. I think it's a old Moray. It was an old Moray something. It was black with a green slick. Yeah, very early Moray days. Yeah.
Banana?
It's horrible. I actually think because Mum and Dad were in resorts, I think it was just one that was left at the resort. Yeah.
Gold.
And then I went to a Rio Pipo Stinger. That was my first board that I brought.
Favourite wave?
Unganoa in Samoa.
Yeah.
Yep. Right-hander. Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Nice, is
Yep.
it?
Barrel to bowl.
Hey, combo.
Yep. Not that I'd be doing much airtime these days, but
No, got to take it easy. Look after that highly insured face of yours, mate.
Highly damaged everything.
Favourite surf trip?
Favorite surf trip?
South Africa,
I can't
for
remember
sure.
the South Africa one, so I can't say that one. There's been so many good ones, but I think we've done a lot of stuff with the inverted team.
Yeah, you've done heaps of teams trips.
Which has been a lot of fun, but I think they've also been inverted ones. There've been a lot of pressure as well, to get the content, to organise team riders, which,
herding sheep.
Horrible.
Herding sheep.
Yeah, it's the blind leading the blind. So I think one of my favourite surf trips would just be with a bunch of mates. We did actually go to Samoa and went to Savai. We just stayed in some bungalows there. It was just 2 weeks of just pumping waves.
Was that with Bicky?
Yep.
Yeah, that first one.
We just scored Unganoa like 6 to 8 foot pretty much every day. Just beers in the arvo.
You still got that cover photo somewhere at Inverted.
Yep.
Probably.
Yep. Yeah. It was just a memorable trip with mates. There was no pressure, no nothing. We had to psych each other up to go out there because it was just that little bit out of our comfort zone. And it's good.
Favourite move on the dance floor?
Favourite move? Well, anybody that knows me knows that I love a little roll takeoff.
Oh.
Or just, honestly, just a roll.
Yep.
Just a nice cylindrical.
Extended arms?
El Rolo, yep. Yeah. Just a nice cylindrical El Rolo done nicely. Smooth. Speed, power, flow.
Favourite board?
Favourite board? Oof.
Got that dagger ready?
I've got two, and one is actually a Nomad board.
Here we go.
Hey.
Is it a Cramsie?
Little cross promotion. No, it's not.
Oh, see you, boys.
There's the door. There's the door, mate. Nah, it was a Nomad Alex Halsey.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I loved it. I loved that shape. Don't know whether I just had memorable sessions on it. You didn't do many of them.
No.
It was just a sick board. So the Nomad Alex Halsey, very closely followed by a 4-play Damien King. Just before 4-play turned.
Went to Mano.
Yeah.
Yep.
4-play, that 4-play Damien King board, the shape. It was a Dowcore board. Yeah. Very memorable sessions on that. And I lost it into the rock wall of Iluka. Didn't wear a leash out.
You lost it?
Yeah.
Was that never to be seen again?
Never to be seen again. It was like 6 to 8 foot, didn't invert, landed, got blasted. Just never to be seen
See you
again.
later.
Yep.
Wow.
Into the rock wall. Goodbye. Surf trip over.
Where do Hardy boards fit into your favourite kind of board? Because you've got a lot of Hardy boards.
Yeah, I do have a lot of Hardy boards, and that's probably one of my favourite collector boards for sure. I have a lot of 4-play Kingies and a lot of Turbo Kingies as well, but for me, the Hardy board sort of revolutionised templates for me growing up. The Tubes Hardy, the 4-play Hardy. I've got a huge collection of them. It's a bit embarrassing, really.
Are they all in store, or are there some in storage?
Yeah, I've got some in storage, got some hidden away, some hidden up in the roof.
Some that Carmen doesn't know about.
Carmen, I really want this. I've got a lot of good old school boards. But yeah, the 4-play Hardy collection is one of my favorite collections to have. Yeah, got a lot of his old boards as well, like with the Billabong stamps. Yeah.
How many vintage boards do you have?
Don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot.
There's a lot. But like,
you're not deep vintage.
No,
though.
I'm not. Like, I'm happy to leave vintage where it is. You know, I think that boards these days have come a long way. They're so much better. And vintage boards are great. I don't buy them. I don't do the whole buy, swap, sell thing. Like, I have people come in. Like, I've got brand new Turbo Pro Comp, Mike Stewart Pro Comps in wrappers from 1989.
Yeah.
That people have offered me thousands of dollars before. Like, people that have come over from overseas to look at them. But, like, that's exactly what they're for. They're to be up.
It's art.
It's art. It's up in the store for people to appreciate. And I'd rather people do that. It's like all the boards that I do stumble across that people are like, oh, you want this, you want that. And I'm like, if it's good enough, it gets a spot up on the wall. So, and people come in and appreciate it. I'm not into the whole buy, swap, sell thing. I've been very lucky with those 4-play Hardy boards and won a few in the raffles.
Yeah.
I don't enter many, but I snagged a couple.
Got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, I was very, very lucky with those ones. Yeah.
Is there a Cramsie board on the wall yet?
No, but there's a few in the roof that I'm keeping. Yep.
Sitting in the wrappers.
Sitting in the wrappers. Yeah. I think I've got one of your blackboards that you won one of your Mystics comps on with a signed Rashi as well. So, I keep a few of them.
Yeah. Hey,
it's like I'm in with a vintage board, sell them a new one. That should be the...
Yeah. Look, these like, the guys that come in and go, oh, they don't make boards like they used to. And I go,
try this for a good reason.
I was like, nah, they make them 10 times better.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've got one more question.
Yep.
Favorite tennis player?
No, don't do it to me.
I'm doing it.
It's Federer. Sorry.
Whoa.
Settle down there, Ben. It's Rafael Nadal.
Yep.
It is. For me, he's the greatest of all time. I know there's stats out there, but
that say otherwise. Yeah.
Say otherwise. But for me, Nadal is my number one. I was so lucky. I got to go see him at the Brisbane International last year before he has finally retired.
Yeah.
So I did get to see him play before he stopped playing. So
Bravo.
very, very happy about that one. But there's so many greats out there. Can't wait to see the new ones up and coming.
Alcaraz is fantastic.
I've got a special connection to an angry ranger on the tour at the moment, Andrei Rublev.
Is he German or French?
He's Russian, actually.
Russian.
Belarus Russian.
Yeah.
Special connection.
My inner competitiveness and anger
and ginger.
And the gingerness just comes out.
The inner soul.
If anyone's watched a game of him and then watches a game with me, they go, yep, you guys are pretty much exactly the same.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no more to be said.
All right, mate. So once again, on behalf of everyone here at the Closeout, can't thank you enough for donating some of your time. We know you're a busy man. It's been an honour to have you kind of run through the history of your business and personal connection to the sport. I think everyone appreciates what you've done. You've got continued support from all of us to keep doing great things.
And we appreciate, all your support over the years for limited edition as well.
Always. Yeah.
And I know today's a really busy day, but...
Yeah, it's all good.
Luckily you said, Carmen, I really want this.
It's awesome. The boogin industry is amazing, and we all band together. It's awesome.
Yeah, a band of misfits.
Basically.
And obviously thanks to Lockie for his minimal special comments.
Hey, I'm here. I'm here in the background.
He's trying to do special comments.
I'm here in the background. Yeah. I'm just embracing it, enjoying this.
That's right. And also thanks to all the listeners and everyone behind the scenes means it makes
The two listeners, was it?
Yeah,
There's
two.
two listeners.
There's two.
Apparently two.
Probably got 4 after this podcast comes out.
Well, it's actually the same person just downloading the same episode on different platforms. So we'll take anyone we can get.
No, thanks for the content, boys. Your Boogan podcasts are slim in pickings, and you guys do a really good job.
Thanks,
Oh,
mate.
cheers.
But yeah, obviously we couldn't do it without the rest of our team. Jeno, Watto.
Sir Michael Jennings.
Yeah, sorry, Sir Michael Jennings. He's been
I
knighted.
noticed that's the sign off now. Sir Michael Jennings.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Rob Porteous for all his help with the music. Marky Mark, and also Sammy Watson. So cheers, guys, and see you next time.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers. Thanks for coming.
Enjoy.